Hey guys, I'm Sam.
And I'm Marissa.
This show is about serial killers, urban legends, ghost stories, and horror movies.
On this show, we're going to swear, spoil movies, and talk about fucked up shit.
Thank you for tuning in. Our episode today is The Legend of the Mothman, which we'll be talking about as well as reviewing the Mothman movie from 2002.
Woo! I am so excited to talk about this movie. Um, this was a one again, which I think might be a common theme that I went into blind, completely blind, knew nothing
Yeah.
about the Mothman. I think we talked about that last time. I thought it was a guy that killed and ate moths, so that was already off the bat shocking. Um, and I asked Sam if she thought I should look up the legend of the Mothman first or just kind of watch the movie, and I'm so glad that I went in blind to this. I think it
Yes.
made the movie so much better. But yeah, let's get into it. So I know we did last time. We were like, we cannot go scene by scene; it'll take forever. But I went scene by scene. So if there's
No, and
like a
actually, I was thinking about that because when I was editing the last episode, I think like the final, uh, length was like an hour and 40 minutes or something, which was kind of right where our first episode was. So, I
okay.
mean, we could try this format. We could go scene by scene.
Yeah, let's try it out. This one was a lot longer than Iceman. And I knew I was in trouble because the first day I started watching it, I had paused it and I was 37 minutes in. I think I had like 5 pages at that point already written down. And then later on, when I was trying to finish my notes, Tyler and I were, well, Tyler really wasn't watching it, but it was like really late at night, and I would literally, like, someone would say something, and I would pause it, and I'd just start typing, and then I would play it, and then I would pause it, and Tyler's like, you cannot be serious. You're not actually serious right now. And I was like, why don't you just leave me alone, okay? And then it came out to 13 pages.
I mean,
13!
you saw my notes. It's not really like in pages because I'm still making my notes like a psychopath, but
Oh, I
honestly, if I
lost you.
typed this out, it'd probably be like 10
Oh,
pages.
shit.
Can you still hear me?
Sam?
Hello?
Sam?
So, are
Dean
you doing
Winchester
a
voice.
Dean?
Oh, I lost you. I lost you the whole time.
It's okay. I heard you. Well, I didn't keep talking because I heard you go, Sam!
I don't know what happened. Like, I moved my iPad to like adjust how I was looking at it,
Don't
and
do
then it
that.
just froze. I know, my fault. But at least I got to do my Winchester voice because I do love me some Jensen Ackles.
Alright, are we ready
All
for
right.
this?
Yeah, are
Okay.
you doing it right up front, or do you want to wait till I take mine later? Because I was
Dude,
just
you're
telling Sam.
underestimating the size of this.
Oh yeah,
This
that
is
looks way
huge.
bigger. Go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
I'm
All
gonna
right.
do like half of it.
All right. So Sam's chugging on some Fireball. Hashtag not sponsored by Fireball.
But
uh,
consider sponsoring us.
but yes, please sponsor us. And I will be taking a shot later of 1800 because I wrote down a part where I had to take a shot. It's just for reasons you'll find out later. But that was a great face you made. Did it taste good?
I love Fireball. I don't care. I know it's like basic bitch alcohol. I don't care.
All right, all right.
Back on
Enough
track.
of this. Yeah, let's get into it. So the movie begins with the text on the screen that reads, "The following story is based on true events," which I get so pumped every time I see that. Every time, like when like a movie starts, and I'm like, oh, this just got so much scarier. Like it's so much scarier now that it's real. Um, all right, so it starts with a lot of black like screen images. There's a lot of phone cords, which I
Oh yeah.
said interesting.
Also,
I wonder how that comes into play. Yeah,
right.
right,
One of the first things, right?
right.
One of the first things that I realized is that I love the soundtrack to this movie. Like the
Mm.
music in the opening, I was like, "Oh, this is such a 2000s like
Yeah, it really was. It was very Final
soundtrack."
Destination like. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Um, Yes, exactly. I feel like I would have appreciated it a little bit more if I probably hadn't paused it already at 13 times by this point in the movie. All right, so the first scene, we meet a guy named John Klein, who's played by Richard Gere. John's leaving work. He stops by to see his boss, Cyrus, who's played by Bob Tracy. Um, his boss mentions, that he's his best reporter. So it's the first time you find out that John's a reporter. John's trying to leave the office to get out of going to an office party, and he really wants to get home to his wife, who we see kind of like splashes of a scene come in, and it's Deborah Messing. Is Messing? Deborah Messing?
Honestly,
I
I'm
don't know
not
how to
sure.
say her name for some reason. She plays Mary Klein, but it's played by Deborah Messing from Will and Grace, and I think it's Messing. I don't know why I'm second guessing myself so much, but anyway, so that's pretty much the first scene. You find out that he's a reporter, and he really loves his wife. He wants to get home to her, and she's kind of showering and getting ready. The clips kind of go back and forth, and that's really it. So the next scene, John and Mary are going to look at a house to buy. Which is a beautiful
This is
house, by the
weird.
way.
Oh yeah, it was freaking gorgeous, like
Yeah, huge.
humongous country
Yeah,
house.
yeah, huge. Um,
And then
yeah,
you just
so
start hooking up in the
I
closet.
yeah, I put it. They decided it was a good idea to hook up in the closet, and like the
It's so
realtor.
fucking weird,
It's so weird. Like, and like I'd expect this from like a teen movie. Like some kids
right?
like break into a house, but these are like grown ass people, and they're like, "Oh,
Well, I
let's go
think that's how
find a
Hollywood
closet."
like quickly shows the audience like they're really in love. People, look at them fucking.
Oh
Like,
yeah. You know what? I feel like they wouldn't know how much they love each other if they didn't try to do it in the closet
yeah.
of the
How
house
are we
they're trying to
supposed to
buy.
know that they loved each other, Marissa?
I felt like I really knew the love after this.
Right.
So anyway, the realtor finds them, and they're
It
like,
wasn't that
"We'll
hard.
take it," and then they just,
Yeah.
and then yeah, right, and then they just like they're like, "We'll take it," and then they'll just like they close the like door again on the realtor. Like I'm like, I don't think that's how it works. Like I don't think you're just like, "We'll take the house now, leave us to bang in this
I
closet."
know. It's like, you
Um,
guys haven't even put a deposit down yet. This isn't your
Yeah,
house.
like nothing's been signed. You can't just bang here. Like I would have loved to seen the after of that, like in real life. But like, you guys can't stay here.
They
Like
just
I gotta
get
show other
arrested.
people. Well, what ends up happening is I think it was after they closed the door. I don't know why I got this out of order, but the a light bulb turns on by itself, which I feel like they
Oh
didn't
yeah.
react enough to that. Like they kind of looked up at it, but like if a light turned on by itself, I would be like, "What the hell? I'm not buying this house. It's clearly haunted." Like,
Do you think it was
what
the
the
guy
hell?
turning on the light from outside of the closet?
No, because remember it was a string that they
Oh,
pulled
yeah, yeah,
down.
yeah. It's just the fucking moth flying around.
So then a moth flickers into it, and my note was first moth sighting, because again I have no idea if this is just a man that is in a form, but I wish you guys could see
I know,
what I'm
Marissa's
doing.
literally
I'm
like
glad
flapping.
I'm so
Flapping
glad
her
you guys
arms
can't
like
see
you have
this.
wings. But I have a super stupid thing to mention. But did
Let's
you
hear
notice that it was John and Mary? Like his name's John, her name's
Mm.
Mary. Is that like a weird like why would is that intentional Bible reference or what? I
I
don't
never
know.
caught that. I never once caught that. I
That's like literally the only thing. I wonder if it was just like generic names to use. But I mean, the
hmm.
author of the original book was named John, but I don't know. I don't know. But
Was his
anyway,
wife and real name Mary?
I don't know. I didn't read it.
I don't know. That's very interesting. I never thought. I don't usually put together biblical things, so it's possible. Um, so the next scene after they do it in the closet and buy the house, I guess. Mary and John are driving, and Mary's driving like aggressively fast, and I put like she's in a residential area. Like it made me
Yeah.
so heated to watch her. Like they're literally like just houses everywhere, and like I don't know. I was waiting for like a little kid to like run out into the street. She's like
Yeah.
booking it down the street. Mary sees something and she ends up flipping the car, which resulted in a pretty serious accident.
Yeah,
John,
so
yeah,
what was it? She sees you don't really see, but you see like
yeah,
something fly at the car. And like this is pretty brutal because I really didn't expect this. I guess I don't really remember this movie. I think I must have fallen asleep the first time I saw it because watching it this time, the way she like slams her head on the freaking
yeah.
window, I was like,
Well,
holy shit.
well, it's funny because at this point I was still going off of the script that I had downloaded that wasn't fucking accurate and was giving me such a migraine. But it literally read as Mary hits her head against the window, which spiders the glass. It was something like that, and I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, that's exactly what happened too." It turned into
Yes.
like a spider web. Yeah, so she hits her head really hard. She's completely unconscious. John's appears to be fine, and he's kind of like trying to get Mary to wake up. And he calls 911, and I put that he says 911. There's been an accident, and then I put in parentheses, why do people say 911? Like, we know who you're calling. Like, you're not ordering pizza.
Well, even when you order pizza, you're not like, hey, Jimmy John's, hey there.
You're not like,
Or,
pizza place, I'd like to place an order.
yeah. Hi there, pizza place.
I don't know. That was just such a
Why did
pet
I say
peeve of
Jimmy
mine.
John's? Do they even sell pizza? Like, what am I thinking of
I
right
have no
now?
idea. I thought that was like a
I
your
think
area type. Is that a sub place?
I know. I think it is. I don't know anything. Anyway. But I was like so surprised when it showed them at the hospital and she wasn't dead. I was like, oh, she's dead for sure. And then
Yeah.
it cuts and she's like totally okay.
Yeah, I thought for sure that they were going to kill her off right there because I knew that Laura Linney was in this. So I was actually surprised when Deborah Messing even came into the picture because I was like, when does Laura Linney come in? All right, so yeah, so he's at her side, the hospital bed, and she's kind of like, she's disoriented for sure, and she's like, "Did you see it?" And he's like, "Did I see what?" Now, let me just say, if Tyler got into a car accident or something, and then he wakes up and he's like, "Did you see it?" And then I was like, "No," and he's like, "Oh, okay." Like, or like, never mind. I'd be like, no, what the fuck did you see that made you flip the car? Like, I wouldn't have let it go.
That's a really good point. Well, I think, I know, because like, I could see why she would drop it, because she's probably like, holy shit, there's something wrong with me. I think she even says
she
that,
does.
right?
That's what makes them get the CAT scan later on.
But he's just like, oh shit, you crazy. Like, instead of being like,
he's like,
actually, he didn't seem to ask her at all, like, why she got in an
He didn't
accident.
seem anything. He was just like, I don't know. I guess we have to be in that situation. Maybe he's just happy she's alive. But I just feel like I would have. This like always pisses me off. This is gonna be something we talk about a lot of times in horror movies when like people just like my cup is here when I leave the room and then I come back and it's here and people are like, oh, I must have moved it, and like no. Fuck you! Something is in your house. Like, respond to it appropriately.
I couldn't tell if it was the writing or because I discovered that I think Richard Gere. I don't think he's a very good actor. I'm not like super into it.
Well, I that's funny you say that because I have a note about that in a couple minutes actually. I also think, and this is just a little mean, I don't mean it to be, but I think he looks like a poodle in human form. I was like looking at him, I was like, what dog do you remind me of?
I don't really get it. Like, I think I liked him in, like, Pretty Woman because
see, I've never seen that.
But the thing is, the whole point, it wasn't about him. It was about Julia Roberts, and, like, she stole the whole show.
Right.
And so it was perfect. He needed to play, like, a cardboard cutout. He did a great job. Like, in this, he kind of does that, but it's like, oh, you're supposed to be, like, our leading guy, and you're so boring. Like...
Yeah, like I said, I have a note about that a little bit, but I do agree with you. I think that this could have kind of been anybody. Like, anybody else could have been... Like, here we go again, Chris Evans.
Dude, I don't know why, for some reason, in my head, I just imagined Mark Wahlberg.
Oh my god, I don't know if I could... I think that would make it worse.
It was so bad.
I don't think I could have pictured Marky Mark doing this. I don't think so.
Oh my gosh. Oh my god, that would have been... This movie would have gotten a lot more entertaining, but probably not scary.
I'm trying to think of like an early 2000s like older guy back then that could have done this. I don't know why I can't think of. Bruce Willis would have done really good in this.
No?
I
used to be obsessed with Bruce Willis, and now I could take him or leave him.
we have already recasted the lead, and we're about 30 seconds into the movie. We've just completely recasted him. All right, hold on. Let's get back on track for a second.
Think of somebody. What about like Kiefer Sutherland?
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. I accept your recast.
Okay. All right. Going forward, we'll just imagine that it's Kiefer Sutherland.
We'll just picture it's Kiefer Sutherland. All right. So at the end of that scene where he completely just brushes off the fact that she saw something crazy, she's like, something's wrong with me. So you see them getting a CAT scan. And then you kind of fast forward and John is chatting with one of his coworkers, Ed. You saw Ed in the beginning. I didn't bring him up because it wasn't important. But they're talking about how Mary has this like super rare condition, like 1 in 600,000 people have this, and it's called,
I believe in you. I didn't write it down.
It's called glioblastoma. I am saying that so wrong, I promise you. But it's a very, very rare temporal lobe tumor. And come to find out, the tumor actually isn't from the car crash. It's been in Mary's brain a long time. So that's pretty interesting. They start chemo right away because apparently Mary has a surgery that they don't show you. They couldn't get the whole tumor out during the surgery, so she has to have chemo. So the next scene is John telling his friend, Ed, again, Ed comes in and out. He's like, this is a quote verbatim, he says, "It's like the universe points at you and says, ah, there's a happy couple. I've been looking for you. I've been looking for you." So my, end quote, my note here says, aw, what in the name of Grey's Anatomy do you have me watching, Sam? Because I was so sad at this point. I was like, that's such a sad quote. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, oh my god, that's so sad. They just bought a house and he loved her. He didn't even want to go to his office party. He just wanted to get home. Oh, I'm so sad. So anyway, next scene, Mary's in the hospital. Well, she's still in the hospital. She never left. They're at Mary's hospital bed. She's apologizing to John that she's sorry, quote, that she ruined everything, unquote, and that she, quote, wants John to be happy, end quote. Again, just so fucking sad. Like, I was just like,
I was gonna say that's the quote that got me, because like I feel like that's exactly what I would say to Michael.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. I was like,
I'm sorry that I ruined all of this. Like,
yeah, and like you just would want him to be happy. Yeah, that made me. Are you crying?
No,
oh, okay.
I drank some of my kombucha, and it was a little tart.
Hashtag still better than than Richard Gere's acting. Was your reaction to drinking kombucha?
Holy shit.
Oh my god. Alright, so the next scene is John driving back to the accident spot. He's trying to see, okay, so now this is appropriate, John. Here you are. Like, let's go investigate what your wife saw that caused all this. Well, I mean, not really the cancer, but the tumor part. They didn't really say cancer. I assume it was cancer because they did chemo? Is that?
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know much about that sort of thing, but...
Yeah, I don't either. I should have looked it up.
Can you use chemo on other things, I guess? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, to be honest with you. Anyway, he can't find anything in the street, but he does see something burned into the grill of his car, and I put a question mark next to that because I don't know that that's actually called a grill. Is it called a grill? I don't know.
I was like... where it, like, intakes the air into the engine?
Yeah, I have no idea. Grill. And then I almost said the front grill, and then I was like, wait, is there more than one grill? This is, I don't know. All the grills.
It, and then you lost it.
Alright, so this next scene is John getting a phone call. It cuts to him running down the hallway. He meets with the doctor, and she looks like she's giving him bad news. Now, this is all muted out. You don't hear what the doctor's telling him, and here's my note. I really hope that wasn't him finding out Mary died because I'm going to need way more emotion than that Richard Gere. So, right back to the fact that
I'm so glad we agreed on this.
No, 100%. And then it literally was like, the next scene is him like sitting on a bench outside in like the winter, and he turns around quickly like as if something spooked him. Like he's just, so like I guess this is him just like pondering that his wife died. And I was like, really? That was like you built up this like crazy romance between these two people, and like how devastated he would be, and like I needed him to like fall to the ground or do something dramatic, like even if it was muted, like some sort of dramatic action, and he was just like shaking his head, and I was like, what the fuck? I was like,
Or like in some movies where they'll do like a cut ahead and he's sitting on the couch with his bottle of whiskey and he's got his beard all grown out.
Yes,
I've
exactly.
never been the
oh my
same
God.
since. Like that kind of like, yeah.
Can we rewrite Mothman, please? Okay, so he's on a bench. You get this kind of like, which this actually comes up later. This all makes sense as you think about it. I'm not going to go too far ahead, but he kind of like feels something that's not really there, and he turns around, nothing's there, of course, but that was him sitting on the bench, which we agree should have been something way more dramatic if that was how he found out his wife died. So the next scene, John's packing up Mary's things to the hospital. This nurse stops by, and he feels the need to tell him that Mary, quote, she knew, unquote, she was going to die because she was, quote, drawing angels, unquote. And then I said, I don't think those are angels, ... that's Mothman, ... oh, they get creepier. Those were my exact thoughts as I was typing as I was watching it. I was like, oh, those are not angels.
I know, like, I even wrote, like, spooky-ass drawings, like, well, okay, this is skipping ahead a tiny bit, but not really, but, like, did you notice that everyone who drew Mothman, like, literally had the exact same style of drawing?
Yes, because there's only
like,
one style of Mothman.
Like,
there's only one
you didn't
style.
see any, like, little stick figure Mothman, it was always that, like, freaky-ass, like, black and red smeary.
It channeled
like,
them to draw the same. He was body positive. He wanted everyone to know exactly how he looked.
Michael forgot that we were recording and he goes, he gifted them with the power of art or whatever.
I literally said that as you were listening to Michael. I said the exact same joke. Literally the exact same joke.
Well, you guys are siblings.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. All right, so next...
But they're scary. They're fucking terrifying. No one would look at those and be like, oh, those are angels. I'd be like, this woman is going to purgatory. Like, something horrible is going to happen to her.
Yes, and also, like, I get it that the guy was trying to be, like, sweet and comforting, but, like, I feel like I would never take it upon myself as, like, a medical worker to be like, what if he wasn't super religious or something? Like, what if he was, like, an atheist or something, like, that he found super offensive, the fact that, like, you just came in and was, like, said she was drawing angels. And then, dude, did you see the fucking drawings? Those weren't angels. So now you've just, like, said something that made, like... Yeah, I don't know. I that whole thing just was stupid. Also, if I was Richard Gere's character at this moment, I would have been like, wow, maybe I should have pushed her a little more on what she saw that night. Because I didn't. And now, clearly, she was, like, super demented. Like, she was seeing some fucked up shit.
Yeah, no, it was, like, torturing her enough to fill up a sketchbook. And he never even talked to her about it.
No, we didn't. Maybe we should stop banging in closets and talk to each other more. Alright, so then you see on the screen, 2 years later, pops up the words, and then I went, damn, a 2 year later skip? I was not expecting that. Like, I did not expect that much time to pass by. So, the camera slowly zooms in on a cluster of TVs in a store window front from the outside. The TV lands on John talking about politics, as we know he's a reporter. Now, I put one of the TVs, this is my note, one of the TVs in the cluster had, like, one slanted eyeball, and it was giving me such strong Candyman vibes. I don't know if you felt that.
Yeah. No, okay, I was more, like, baffled, because it wasn't just one TV, it was, like, a couple of them all scattered in the TV.
Yeah, but that was very early
like,
2000s.
What is it paused on?
Like, if you think back to, like, really, like late 80s, 90s, early 2000s movies, like, storefronts always had those outside. I don't know why. They were just, like, well, not outside, but, you know, in their, like, storefront window, they always had those. Because people would, like, stand by and watch them. I can't think of a single fucking movie I'm referring to, but, like, they always had them.
No, and I actually, the same here. And it's always, like, for exposition, where, like, main characters walking by.
Yes.
And like, what?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. You know what? Your acting is brilliant. I recast you in this. Bring your kombucha to set, and we're gonna remake Mothman.
Oh my god. We should just remake it as a fan movie and never show anyone.
It's gonna be like when the gang remakes Lethal Weapon movies. So bad.
But only with us too. There's only two of us.
We play all of the characters. We just keep putting beards on our face and having them off.
Oh my god.
So bad. All right, yeah. So
no, but actually, I have something really quick to say about this too, because like his friend is like he's trying to hook him up with like a girl, and he's like, oh,
Gwen.
you know, like I could set you up with Gwen. Literally, in my notes, I was like, oh, she'll probably become important because they keep mentioning her. She does not.
Yeah, so
like, she never shows up again.
I have, you know, that he tried to hook him up with someone named Gwen, and then later on he's in the car leaving a voicemail for Ed, and he's like apologizing for kind of blowing him off later, and then he says, I'm sure Gwen's nice, like I'd like to, you know, maybe go out with her another time. And then I put, I'm guessing that Gwen is Laura Linney. That's what I put.
I know. Yeah, I wrote this. I mean, I didn't write exactly that, but I was like, oh, I'm sure she'll become important later. Nope.
Yeah, that's exactly how I felt. So hold on, we skipped two tiny little scenes in between that. I want to just go. So you see John enter his home, and he is kind of walking around, and he goes to the closet like from the beginning, and I put, oh, I was like, they just bought this house. He lives alone in it, and then I said, sad. So far, I'm just sad, Sam. That's what I wrote. And then John leaves his house, and
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. It worked out. John leaves his house and he starts his car, and then I put in parentheses, are we supposed to have seen something in his car lights? Because I feel like I saw something. Did you catch that?
No, I didn't.
Okay. All right, so yeah. So anyway, so John's in the car, the voicemail. We both think that Gwen at this point is Laura Linney. So the next scene, John decides that he'll drive to Richmond for work tonight instead of tomorrow morning. He appears to have been driving a while. The roads kind of get blurred, and eventually his car breaks down. John tries, but is
And again, really quick, I'm so sorry. I have to shoehorn this in. Again, I was like, I love this soundtrack so much because the driving music, I'm like,
yeah,
I totally vibe.
I didn't catch it. I think because I was so effing detailed in my notes that like I would start a scene, I'd be like, John is driving, play. He is still driving, play. Like I couldn't enjoy the music because I was like literally Tyler was like, stop doing that. But I wanted to paint a picture of the fucking scene, alright? Look at off my back. Alright, so he's unable to start his car because he breaks down or whatever. He gets out of his car, he starts walking, he hears noises, starts walking faster. Now, I'm just going to pause here for a second. I don't know what it's like to ever have my car break down in general, especially at nighttime and like somewhere I don't know where I am. I feel like I would just ball up into the back of the seat. And like they didn't have cell phones back then either. So like he was just stuck there. Like he had to get out and walk. But I feel like I would have just balled up in the back seat of my car and hoped that help would come one day. Maybe go to sleep, just live out my life in the back seat. I don't know. I would not have gotten out, I don't think. All right, so he ends up at a house in the middle of the woods. I put in parentheses creepy because like listen, you're going for help, but then like I don't know, you're just going to and again, this was a long time ago. This came out 19 years ago. So I'm not saying that like creepy things didn't exist back then. Yeah, I know. Came out in 2002. Right? That's 19 years ago?
I mean, probably.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm old as fuck. But yeah, and then he finds like the Texas Chainsaw
Yeah.
House,
So I'm saying it's like you went for help, but the help looks creepy. So John rings the doorbell. He explains to the man. So this man kind of opens the door, and it's just the back of his head, and you're kind of focused on John's character. So he explains to the guy, like, hey, listen, my car broke down. I really love to use your phone. The guy doesn't, like, respond right away, which is kind of creepy. I'm, like, already, like, getting chills, at this scene. And then the guy says, it's him. And he says this kind of to the woman that's standing behind him, which we assume maybe his wife at this point. He then turns back to John and says, I've been waiting for you. And I put, oh my God, so scary in parentheses because I was like, oh my God. Yep. And then the man grabs John by his shirt and he pulls him inside his house.
Does he have a gun in his hand too?
No, not at this point yet. I don't think so. You just see him kind of pull in. Okay. The next scene, he has like John standing in his bathtub. Like the water isn't, I made to put like the water's not on or anything. It's just kind of, I guess, maybe a holding place for him. He has him at gunpoint. The man's wife walks in, who we find out her name is Denise. She's played by Lucinda Jenny. She walks in with a cop. I put sheriff maybe. Her name is Connie, and this is Laura Linney. So we were both wrong about Gwen.
Yeah, and actually this surprised me too, because like I was like, oh my god, this guy fucking kidnapped him, and then a cop shows up. So this is where it gets kind of interesting, because it's like, what the fuck? Why is he calling the cops?
I have this in another spot, but I'm gonna put this in here. Immediately, I went right to like creepy town angle. Like they were all kind of like working together. I didn't get to that point until like another page or so when I'll get into it. But like I'm thinking that now. Like if I thought back now, that's how I would feel. Anyway, Connie comes in. She tries to calm the man down. Which again, you don't know anything that's happening, so you don't know if Connie's kind of in on this. You don't know like why. You don't know why this guy thinks that John is some sort of like threat to him and his family. So she tries to calm him down, the man down, which we find out his name is Gordon, and he's played by Will Patton. Oh, I just thought of a good movie. Hold on, I have to write this down for later.
Say it out loud. What are you doing?
No, it's one of my movies, like my picks, like for later.
But I know your movies.
All right, hold on. I'll tell you. I just want to write it down before I forget because I have no attention span. It's The Gift with, very ironically, Jason Bateman, who plays the husband of Laura Linney in Ozark. Great show, by the way. So Connie lowers the gun down, and she's kind of like, Gordon, tell me what's going on. So Gordon tells her, and he says, listen, for the past 3 days at 2:30 a.m., this guy knocks on my door and he tells me that his car broke down and that he needs to use the phone. That's so creepy. This is not what happened in the movie. I'm saying this. That's so creepy. Like, I immediately start, like, thinking differently of Richard Gere now. I'm like, are you crazy? Yep. Like, what's going on? So, John's like, it wasn't me. Like, I don't know what's happening here. Something's really wrong. I'm from D.C. Pulls out his wallet. Connie pulls out a card out of his wallet. She looks up at him very suspiciously, and she's like, Washington Post, and kind of like an attitude. And John's like, yes. And so he asks if he can get out of the shower. Connie pushes the shower curtain back to be like, come on, let's go. Like, we're going to get out of here. So now I'm like, okay, like maybe she really is just a sheriff, like just trying to help out the situation.
Yeah, and like the creepiest part is like when the guy was like, find out what he wants. Like, they're so afraid of Richard Gere. Like,
yeah.
And it's so weird.
Yeah, so you skipped a tiny bit there, which isn't a big deal. But yeah, he essentially goes downstairs, he's going to leave, and Connie's like, wait for me. Listen, like let's talk outside. And then that's when Gordon's like, find out what he wants and tell me. And she's like, I'm going to do a check on him. Like, we'll get back to you. Like, and then Connie pulls Gordon's wife aside, Denise, and separately asks her, like, did you see this guy at your house 3 nights in a row? And she says, no, but I did hear the knocking. So I put, that's not a good sign for you, Gordon, because now you don't have anyone to corroborate your story. So at this point, you're just kind of confused. You're like, who's crazy here? Like, is it Gordon or John? Which at this point, John has only seemed normal up to this point. So I guess we're thinking Gordon seems like a crazy guy in the middle of the woods with a gun at his house. Oh, she also tells him, Connie also tells him to, like, not pull a gun on anyone else. And he's like, oh my god, I don't know why I keep hiccuping, sorry. He's like, well, he was in my house and blah, blah, blah. And she's just like, basically, don't shoot him next time if he comes by, just call me. And, like, I felt a little mixed emotions about that because I was like, if it had been, like, half a week at this point that someone just kept stalking your house, like, I think I would be armed too. Like, whether or not that's a gun or something.
Do you think it almost shows, like, this particular area that they live, like, they're so safe that it's like there's no need to be shooting people.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that mentality where it's like, why are you shooting people? Like, this isn't a scary, dangerous place. Like, and it was interesting because it really showed, like, she was on a first name basis with Denise and Gordon.
Right, very small town.
They all kind of knew each other.
And that's the thing. She does kind of go on later to say, in the very next scene we'll talk about, but she goes on to say, like, people around here, like, don't make up things like that. Like, I think he was even like, how well do you know Gordon and Denise? And John says that to Connie, and Connie's like, they're good people. Like, they're really good people. I've never had any problems with them. So, like, it's just kind of setting the tone of, like, they wouldn't have acted that way if there wasn't a real reason for it.
Exactly.
So Connie gives John a ride into town, to a motel, and she's like, I'll call you a tow tomorrow for your car. And they have this kind of, like, small talk in the car where she's like, what are you doing here? You're a long way from D.C. And she tells him that she recognized John from TV. I don't know. They have this just kind of small talk thing. He's like, "Am I under arrest?" And she's like, "Well, he didn't actually do anything. Like, you didn't like he pulled him into his house. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, and I think that was the other thing too. Gordon was like, Connie, I used the words trespassing for him. Like, he was like trying everything to like justify why he pulled a gun
Yeah.
on this guy. So, yes.
Did he ever say why he was driving to West Virginia?
Um.
Because I missed that. It's like, did he just drive there in
Okay,
a trance?
that's a two-part thing because one, I'm gonna say you've said it twice now, and I had a note later, but you said West Virginia, and I had born and raised next to it. You said it before I got to do it later on. He he's going for a work thing. Oh, nice, nice. He's going. Hold on, where is my shot thing? Maybe I might take
But
it a
like,
little earlier.
okay, because I didn't catch that. It could just be me, but I thought maybe he drove there because like he just did it. Because even when he told his friend, he's like, "Hey, I'm in West Virginia," and he's like, I don't know, because what is it? He said he left at like 1 a.m. and he ended up there at like 2:30, and it's like it would have taken me like 6 hours driving 80 miles an hour to get here. Like,
Yeah,
how did
yeah.
I get here in like an hour and a half?
Yes, you're. Yes, again, skipping
But like, it kind of
ahead.
because like that's all I really caught. Because
Sorry.
even his friend was like, I thought his friend was like wondering
Yes,
why he was there
I
too.
I think there was a scene before where he was saying in the car to Ed when he was leaving the voicemail. We got talking about Gwen for so long. I think he was saying like he's going to a work event and he was going to go in the morning, and then he just decided like randomly to go that night,
Okay, okay.
like ahead of time or whatever. But yes, so sorry, I just want to go back because when he's in the car with Connie before he gets out to go to the motel, she's telling him that there's been like this really strange stuff going on in town. People have like kind of reported sights of things that they can't explain, and this goes again back to like Connie and Denise, not Connie and Denise, Gordon and Denise being like really good people. Like the people in this town are like almost embarrassed to have to report that they've seen these things because it seems so abnormal. Like they wouldn't normally make up something like this. So there's just been like this creepy vibe in this town going on.
Yeah, and she doesn't necessarily say exactly what they see, right? She just
She
says
doesn't.
it's like
No.
weird shit.
Yeah. Exactly. So, okay. So, and actually, I don't know if I had skipped ahead to that or not, but we'll see. Anyway, so they arrive at a motel, and you kind of just said this before, but John's like, "Where am I actually?" And Connie points to a sign, and it reads Point Pleasant. Now, I had in parentheses, and I don't know if you remember this or not. Do you remember I think I've showed you this before, but the Jimmy Fallon, Jake Gyllenhaal skit where they pretend that they worked for the Point Pleasant Police Department and they spit on each other when they're talking. Michael,
No.
I know has seen it. I when we're done with this episode, we're gonna watch it together. It makes me cry every time laughing. But essentially the premise of it is like these two cops that like spit food out when they're talking. It sounds so stupid as I'm saying it out loud, but it's so
No.
funny. And they work for the Point Pleasant Police Department. So that's all I could think of when they kept saying Point Pleasant. Anyway, that was a tangent. Anyway, so he looks at a map and he sees that Point Pleasant, and the motel guy is like, "Oh, we're right on the border." And so he initially looks between Virginia and North Carolina, and the clerk says, "No, we're on the border with Ohio." And John looks really scared. Now my notes say, "Well, I looked up how far Point Pleasant, Ohio is from DC, and it's over 8 hours. No wonder why he looks so panicked. I would be too if I blacked out for that long." And then I said, "LOL" in all capitals. I didn't realize the next scene he talks to Ed about how it would take him however long to get there if he was driving 80 miles per hour. So this very realistic time frame, he just arrived at this place and he doesn't remember it, which is crazy. I have a side note here that says, I love that Amazon Prime shows you the actors and actresses when you pause it, like who's in the scene.
Yeah.
Because that's like really cool to like write down people, but also it's incredibly annoying because then it spoils stuff. So like throughout, like, and I gave an example, not for this particular movie because we're not there yet, but when you're watching something, and this has happened to me so many times, and like a character has been killed off in like a season or something of a show, and then they just have their name at the bottom, like they're gonna be in that scene, and I'm like, son of a bitch, I don't even get to like see it, like I don't get to experience the like holy shit moment they're back. And I was like so annoyed at this point with that because it kept happening throughout the movie. All right, so
Maybe
let's
you
fast
shouldn't pause
forward.
the movie so much. No, I'm kidding.
It will never happen. It will never happen. So John's at the body shop the next day. The mechanic's telling him he can't find anything wrong with his car, and he doesn't charge him anything. So I thought that was so crazy. Like, I would not just like brush that off. Like, your car broke down in the middle of the woods. You've now been told you visited a man's house 3 separate times before you even knew you were in this area, and like now you're finding out there was nothing wrong with. Like, I'd be like, hi, I'd like to check into a mental hospital. I'd like to, I'd like to check myself in.
Right, but of course, Richard Gere, being the amazing actor that he is, like, oh, okay.
Richard Gere's like, yeah, okay, all right, I should probably go about my
That's
day
wild.
here. Are you eating pizza flavored Pringles? Are you?
I'm sorry, I just needed to get some like salt or something in my.
No, it's okay. I'm a couple pages away from my shot, and I think it'll be worth it if I wait.
I'm excited.
I don't know. It's like we're about halfway.
I know, I feel bad. I'm like drinking and.
No, don't. I just thought it'd be funny if I took. No. Well, why don't you finish the drink when I take my shot? It'll be in like a couple minutes.
Okay.
Or you want to keep sipping? Okay, cool. You can take like another sip or two if you want, because that's still a lot of liquor. But, okay. Anyway, so John's walking around town for a bit. He sees Gordon. He approaches him. He wants to apologize for the other night. He asks him if he was like super sure if that was him those nights. And I put in parentheses for my notes. I imagine John's starting to doubt himself at this point. I don't know how you wouldn't be with all this stuff going on.
Oh yeah. Of course.
And then Gordon says that Connie told him that he checked out and that he's perfectly willing to let it go. So I thought he was kind of creepy saying this, but also like I guess it was kind of like just nailing down the fact that these are good people. Like he didn't want to have any like hard feelings towards him.
And I feel bad because like the guy that plays Gordy, he looks like he could
Gordy?
be like really creepy. Yeah, that's what they kept calling him.
Did they? I never heard it one time. Are you serious? Oh my god.
Sure Connie called him Gordy. But they like made him look so creepy and like but he just looks so sad and worried.
I know, he's such a nice
to John.
I know.
I was like,
nice fella.
Like I feel really bad for that guy.
I know. Yeah, so anyway, John's basically like, Gordon kind of takes it offensively. He's like, you're going to hate yourself when you're editing this because it's so loud.
That's the loud one.
Yeah, so John basically like asks him if he's sure, and Gordon's like kind of gets a little bit annoyed, and he's like, listen, I don't drink anymore, like I don't lie, so as far as I know, I'm not crazy and you were at my house, this kind of thing. So John gets like really, really close to Gordon. I remember being super uncomfortable with how close he was. Like he just like gets right into his face, and he's like, John's like, somewhere between 1 and 2:30 a.m. I've traveled 400 miles and I ended up at like your house and I have no memory of it. And Gordon's like, and you call me crazy, and then he like gets in his car and drives away. And I'm like,
yeah.
First of all, if this guy had been stalking my house for 3 days, like whatever, you check out, it's fine. I'm gonna let you go. I'm trying to like be like bygones be bygones. But then you get like in my face and you tell me how crazy you are. Like I would be like, nah, dude, like get out of here.
I know.
All right. Oh, my next note is so fucking funny for what just happened. Hold on. There's creepy ghost music and fog as John drives around at night. So that's happened. Here, all in capital letters. Can you see my red section right here? So while I'm watching this movie, my Pringles can shifted lightly to the right of me, and it sounded like someone was clearing their throat, and I screamed. It literally like shifted in the can, and it sounded like someone went like that. And I was like, I'm home by myself, and I was like, oh my god, I was so scared. And that's so funny because you were just eating Pringles. How ironic is that? All right, so John's driving.
Yeah,
crunching. Crunching. I'm loving your words today. So John's driving around. All of a sudden, there's a knock at the car window, and it appears he's fallen asleep in a parked position. This dude like needs to stop driving. Yeah,
I agree.
So it's Connie.
But isn't he also like parked outside of like Gordon's house again?
Is he? I don't have.
Doesn't Connie knock on the window and she's like, I was afraid I would find you here again or something? Doesn't she say that to him?
I think it might be where his car broke down the first night, because then the next scene they're like waiting by Gordon's house to see if he shows up. Like, I
Yeah,
guess
because
they're like,
I think that's why he went back there, because he wanted to like scope out the area and see if he saw someone who looked like him, I guess. But yeah, like
oh,
I thought Connie walks up to his car and she was like, "Are you kidding me? You're here again?" And he's like,
it's
But it turns out like they're just gonna scope out the place together.
yeah, it's very possible. Yeah, and I was like, are they waiting to see his like doppelganger show up? Like,
Right? I mean,
yeah.
at this point, why not?
So yeah, so
But
the clock passes 2:30, and Connie says, "I guess she didn't show up," and he's like, um, and you see like Gordon kind of walking outside his house with a gun. He's like pacing back and forth, like waiting for this guy to show up, and he doesn't because he's sitting in the car with Connie. My note says, "I guess they're waiting to see if his doppelganger is going to show up," and then I put in all capital letters, "Where is the Mothman?" Because I was like, when does this guy come into the movie?
dude,
All right, so sorry, I was mistaken before. The first conversation that they have in the car together is just about like where John is and how he's not being arrested. This is the conversation where she tells him about all of the
yeah.
people in the town.
Because that's what I was wondering. I was like, how did I not take notes about that?
No,
But then
sorry,
here I do say, Lenny expositions the
Linny.
whole situation with the Mothman.
Yes,
So
sorry, I was incorrect about that. Yeah, so that all
sorry.
happened. So then, so basically, John's like, please tell me like what's going on in the town if something's weird. So I don't feel like it's just me. He's like, please like help me out here. Tell me what else is going on weird around here. Like now that I'm here. So she's like tells him, and then she's like, you know what? Let's just head to the police station, and I'll show you all like of the private records that you're not supposed to look at. And I'm like, is this even legal? Like, can you just show people police reports that don't work at the station?
I know. Also, someone who might be like a stalker.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like you just, yeah, no, oh God, okay. All right, so yeah, so they're reading police reports. People are saying that they were very upset seeing this thing. They heard rustlings. Yeah.
Rustling.
I said that, and then like something like tapped on the window next to me, and I was like, okay. Um, they get this really weird feeling. People have like red eyes after they've seen it. They see weird lights, strange phone calls. Connie then includes like John now in this like strange list of things that have happened to the town. Like he's now part of it. And then Connie shows him a drawing, and it's the Mothman
Yep.
drawing that his wife man drew. And I put, oh shit, real Jeepers Creepers vibes here. I don't remember why I felt that way, but I felt that way for some reason. I don't know why.
No, actually, for some reason, it does have the same sort of vibes.
Right?
You know, where it's like, well, honestly, Jeepers Creepers. I don't know if it was based on a real urban legend, but it had urban legendy, like mythology, like
It did.
vibe to it.
It did. I don't think. I mean, if it is, we should do that for one of them. But I don't think. I don't think it was. I think it's just a great movie.
Well, they like based it on that like song from like the 1920s.
Oh, Jeepers Creepers!
Yeah,
Where'd you
yeah,
get
yeah,
those
yeah.
creepers? Yeah. I'm gonna hate myself listening to that later. Oh God. All right. So they go
It
and
can't be
visit
worse
the
than my
lady
crotch.
that drew.
Okay, sorry.
The crunching. I promise you it's worse
But
than your crunching. They
But
go.
so this is where, like, again, where we were saying, like, the picture looks exactly like the drawing
Yes.
his wife did. Like,
Yes.
is it? It's not supposed to be the same drawing, but it.
And I
it
gotta
is.
tell you though, I think that might just be something you picked up on more because of being an artist. Because that didn't register in my head. Like that's a stupid movie error that like they all look like they drew the exact same thing. Like it makes sense now, and now I'm like laughing at it, but like I wasn't like I didn't see it again, and I was just like, oh shit, that's from the beginning. I wasn't like, how are they drawing the exact same? Like I didn't think that way.
Okay.
But
So it makes perfect sense then.
no, it doesn't make perfect sense. I think you just have a better attention for detail in that sense for sure. So they go visit the lady that drew the exact same drawing as John's wife. And then John looks where the woman's saying that she's seen this thing. He doesn't see anything, of course, like that's there now, but he does see a burnt mark on the tree that was the same that was on his grill from his car. They go visit another person that's made a report. He plays like a voice recording that he's gotten of this like really high screeching sound. The guy said he kept getting these phone calls over and over again. This creeped me out. He said he changed his number, but before he could even give the number out to other people, like the calls kept happening again. I thought that was so creepy. And And then the next scene, John and Connie seem to be having like a connection forming here. So that's like the start of when they're kind of like, I don't know, they were like really close to each other. And again, like, I guess like a little bit of a shame on Connie's character. Like, you don't know if this guy is like a nut job. Like, I don't know.
Dude, I know. I mean, unless she's the cop in that town, so maybe like his story doesn't seem as crazy anymore because of everything else she's been hearing.
Yeah.
But still, like,
but he could have also just
you
been
don't
like
know
a
this guy.
yeah, he could have also just been a crazy guy that was stalking someone, and then she was like, "Hey, all this shit's been happening in my town." He was like, "That's definitely what's been happening to me." Like,
I mean, unless maybe it's because he's famous, because he's like a famous like DC reporter, and she's
oh,
like,
maybe
I know
yes.
TV, and I don't know.
I never put that together. That's true. So the next scene, John's talking to Ed on the phone about how he hasn't left yet, Point Pleasant, and something's keeping him here. And he hangs a picture of Mary in his mirror in the motel room, and I'm like, oh, like, oh, poor Mary, Mary. The next scene, John and Connie meet this kid. He has red, bloody eyes, and he's describing this, like, how he was parked down in this area that they're all kind of, like, staring at from, like, the top of a pier or something, I don't know. And him and his girlfriend were, like, doing it, and this light presence came into the car, and after he saw it, he went to the doctor, and his eyes were all bloody and everything, and, like, the doctor just could never fix it, and they stayed like that. And then I remember the girl was like, we're engaged, or we're getting married, something like that at the end of the scene. And I was like, I think I even wrote that down in like another note somewhere. And I was like, is that important? Does that come back up later? Like, why did they, like, was she just saying, like, I stayed with him because he's got bloody eyes?
Maybe she, I was thinking, maybe she was worried, like, she's like, we're telling these people that we were fucking, but I promise I'm gonna marry him. Don't worry. Like, we're not doing it out of wedlock.
Yeah,
like,
either that or she was like, I love him even though he looks so scary every time he opens his eyes. Alright.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah. Good for her.
Yeah, I guess. So next scene, John's in his bed in the motel room. He gets a phone call in the middle of the night. No one's on the line. It goes to a dial tone. He's standing / like sitting and staring at a picture of Mary. He seems to think someone's watching him, and he seems confused. So again, it's a kind of like feel like someone's in the room maybe, but there's no one there, kind of creeped out. Next scene, John, nope, that was the same thing. Next scene, John's at, I guess it starts exactly the same way. Okay.
And by the way, I feel like you'd get a kick out of this. I literally call Gordon Gordy in my notes.
That's
forever,
so funny. I never heard that once. I'm gonna have to go back and watch it. It's probably just because they kept pausing things. They
also kind of had like an accent, so maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I just call him
Gordy. I don't know. You know what's so funny? Every time we do this, I think about rewatching the movie or like whatever it is that we did, and I'm like, I mean, I'll probably get so much more the next time I watch it because I'm not pausing it. And then like by the time I'm done with like my 19-page essay, I'm like, I don't have the energy to rewatch this.
I know what you mean. I was thinking about the Kuklinski like documentary.
Oh, I have nightmares
again,
about
and I
that.
was like, nah.
Like nightmares. And it's so funny too because I feel like I tried so hard, like when Tyler was getting on me about like pausing it so much and just like trying to watch it and like take it all in, and like I literally like had my hand like off the thing and I was just like watching it and I was like, I can do this. Okay, so like there's somewhere, okay, I can remember this, pause, and I just start writing down again. I'm like, I want to be able to talk about it like I'm watching it right now. Alright, anyway, so John's at an old electronics store, and I put old electronics store, and then I put in parentheses, LOL, I think it might just be a regular electronics store, but it seems old because this came out so long ago. It's, like, filled with VCR machines, like, top to bottom, and I was like
VCR machines.
VCR machines. It's, like, filled with them, and I was like, why is he in a vintage, like, electronics store? And then I was like, oh, it's 2002, everything's, like, VCR and, like, everything.
No, and that, like, when his car broke down earlier, I was like, why does he just fucking call someone on his cell phone? Oh,
There's
yeah.
no cell phone,
Duh.
yeah.
This takes place in, like, the 60s, but anyway.
So, Gordon comes in and he says that he has to speak with John. See, like, that's shit. Like, I feel like I didn't need to write that down. I could have just been like, John and Gordon are having a conversation. Like, Gordon walks in about 5 steps, turns to the left. There's John.
He looks concerned.
He's wearing a red shirt. Gordon tells him that he woke up last night with a horrible headache. He heads to the bathroom. He looks in the mirror to see something.
Oh, this part kind of freaks me out.
Yeah, he can't describe, but he knows that it wasn't his own reflection. That's so creepy. Then he hears this howl coming out of the sink with a voice, and the voice says, "Do not be afraid, 99 will die, Denver 9." And I put creepy in parentheses. Mm-hmm. Gordon says that the voice repeated itself for an hour. Dude, like, I would have committed myself to a hospital if I was hearing something come out of my sink. Even one time, let alone an hour.
But then, I got the vibe that he was just staring at himself in the mirror, like, almost in, like, a trance.
Yes. Oh, I could definitely see that happening. Gordon then hands John the same artistic drawing. And it's the Mothman again. And they step outside the shop, and Gordon's ears start to bleed. And I put, that's never a good sign. So the next scene is basically Gordon at the hospital. He's getting the results back of his CAT scan because, again, any normal person that's, like, hearing voices like that, I think you should be getting your brain checked out. He's getting his results back, and the doctor's like, "Look, dude, you're fine. You just had a really bad migraine." And he's like, "No, I really think I have the same tumor that this guy's wife had." And I'm not laughing at the tumor. I'm laughing at the fact that he's just like, "I think I have this 1 in 600,000 chance rare tumor."
Yeah, well, it's funny because even the doctor's like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, like
why would you even say that? I doubt it.
And but at the same time, John's like, "Well, I think he might because they have the same hallucinations." And I'm like, "You're basing this on a drawing?" I don't know.
I was gonna say that could also be like a concussion.
Yeah.
Like that,
yeah.
You know, it calmed down.
Exactly. So, next scene, you see this really quick shot of a bathroom sink and then Gordon yelling in the distance. I don't know if that was just to kind of like symbolize that Gordon's hearing this guy again. The next scene, John, Gordon, and his wife Denise are all out to dinner. Something catches John's eye and he walks away from the table. He walks towards the TV where the reporter is talking about the flight number 9 that crashed, resulting in all 99 passengers dying, which I thought was so creepy. I was like, yep. Oh my god. I don't know, that just creeped me out so hard. I don't know what I thought the guys, like the Mothman's voice, oh my god. This, just out of the corner of my eye, I just saw this staring at me. It's my fucking mannequin head,
Yeah, I was gonna say, for the viewers who can't see, she literally just brought, like, this shaggy mannequin head into it.
Oh my god, I think I just peed my pants. If you, like, if we were recording this and you could watch that back, I literally just went like this, I was like, like, I saw it in the corner of my eye. Alright, anyway, yeah,
But actually, yeah, because this movie does have a lot of scenes like that, where you just feel so unsettled.
Yes.
And it's, like, so fucking creepy, and that was one of those scenes where it's like, oh yeah, flight 9. Also, how many flights are just a single digit? Is that something? Or am I like...
I have no idea. I have no idea.
Because usually it's like flight 7, 8, 6.
See, I'm thinking more... But... Yeah, that seems very Final Destination-ish that you're thinking, but I'm thinking more like Lost or something that was like Oceanic Flight 7045. I don't know. Now I have to look up what flight that was. That's
I feel like it's always like a long number, but it's like flight 9 out of Denver. It's like, oh. I don't know. Like I said, I could be just completely dumb.
Oceanic Airlines 815. That doesn't sound right, but that's what it says on Google.
Right? It's always like a longer
Yeah.
number.
Yeah, I don't know. That is weird. I agree with you.
Maybe they didn't want it to be, like, superstitious, and they're like, if we actually call out an actual flight flying out of Denver in our movie, like, we don't want to be superstitious.
Yeah, or maybe it was just really wordy. Like, maybe they couldn't have been like, flight 1700, 45 people died.
2 more numbers. It's too much.
They're like,
this is the longest movie ever.
They're like, Richard Gere can't handle 2 more numbers. Don't mess up his script.
You see, like, the sparks coming out of his ears. Like, okay.
Oh my god. Alright, so that news report happens. So the next scene, John's reaching out to an author. His name is Alexander Leek, of the book about Prophecies, and he's asking for his help. John tells him he's a reporter, and the guy hangs up on him. The next scene, John and Connie are sitting on a couch together. They're very close, which again is kind of building this like sexual tension between the two of them.
Actually, can I say something? I'm so sorry. I promise I'm not going to have a tangent for everything, but I thought it was interesting that the guy that he reached out to, his name was Leek, because the author of the Mothman Prophecies, his name was John Keel. So it's like
backwards.
Keel backwards.
Yes, I actually had that in the trivia here for later.
Oh, okay.
The name of the expert on paranormal activities is Leek, the reverse of a paranormal expert, and the author of the novel in which this book was based, John A. Keel. Yep. Use right. Gotcha. I'll just mark that one off now because we don't have to go over it later, Sam. Jeez. You're like, can I just skip to the end really quick?
Hey, I'm just letting you know my observations.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. All right, so okay, so John and Connie, they're like really close on the couch. Connie tells John about a nightmare she had in her dream. She's like underwater. She sees like presence floating above her. She can't get to the surface of the water, and she hears a voice and it says wake up 37, and then she wakes up, and I put, oh, that was so boring, worst part of the movie so far.
But even he was like, okay, I don't know what this has to do with anything, but
he's like,
okay.
I really think you're cute, so I'm just gonna let you like cry about a dream you had and then hope that like it works out for me later. I don't know. So Gordon, the next scene is Gordon drives to an abandoned lot at night. Flash forward to Gordon telling John that did I?
Oh, this is this is kind of a big one.
Yeah, okay, so flash forward to Gordon telling John he met the guy. Yeah, so Gordon's like, dude, I met the guy that told me about the plane crash. And John's like, what? And he explains this like really traumatic like physical ailments that happened to him. Like he was like his like head start. I don't actually remember. I didn't write it down, so this is why I write everything down. But like all these like weird physical things happened to him while he was meeting this guy. So you have this like scene, and there's like it's coming out of a cave almost, and this like man is walking towards his car, and it almost looks like his head is kind of not proportioned very well. It's almost like an alien body is what like in my head I saw. And it looks like I think they even said it looks like a human, but there was something wrong. Gordon hears the man speak, and he says, "Don't be afraid. My name is Ingrid. What is it? Ingrid or Ingrid? Ingrid Cold, right? Ingrid Cold.
It's Ingrid.
It's
with a D.
Oh, is it? Is Ingrid? Oh God.
Yeah, and actually, I looked into this character as well as far as like urban legends.
Oh,
it's different from Mothman.
Did you? Okay, wait. Let's talk about that after, because and then my joke later is not gonna work because I thought it was Ingrid and I thought it was a girl's name. Whatever. All right. He says, "My name is Ingrid Cold," and then he says, "In a place this size, equator 300 will die. Wait for me. I will return. I will see you in time." Then the man disappears. Gordon shows John a news article about 300 people dying near the equator. So now at this point in the movie, you're starting to learn, like, this guy tells something that's going to happen, and then great tragedy, like, strikes somewhere.
And I feel like Gordon was way too casual about all of this, because he's like, oh,
yeah.
I met him. And
yeah,
like,
and then
what?
he was like, I met him, and this guy that's been, like, tormenting him and everything, he's like, I met him, all this shit happened to me, but I met him. Also, hey, check this article out.
Right? It's like, are you fucking kidding me right now? I'd be shitting my pants.
I know. Alright, so then John goes to the same lot, because that's what I'd fucking do. Go to the same lot you just saw this, like, inhuman creature that,
well,
like...
isn't it it's the chemical plant, right?
Yes. He goes during the day, though, and then he sees/hears, like, a shadow, like a silhouette of the male nurse from the beginning of the movie, and he hears the guy saying, "She knew." And I'm like, see, this guy fucking haunts him now, like, because you had to come in and say your stupid thing while this guy was grieving for his wife. I hated that guy.
I could tell.
Alright, so next scene, John and Connie are back in his hotel room, and I put in parentheses, not surprising, when are these two gonna bang already?
I know, like, they opened the movie with him banging. It's not like they're afraid of showing that.
Yeah, it's like, this guy's like, oh man, I gotta get to a closet with this one.
Maybe that's his kink. He's like, we haven't had a good closet. It's not gonna work out.
John brings over a voicemail machine, and I put in parentheses, damn, this movie is old. It's like, I haven't seen a voicemail machine in like so long. He plays a recording that someone got from, and I put in parentheses Mothman, I guess, because we don't know. I don't know. Ingrid. What the fuck it is. All that we hear in the voicemail is electronic screeching. John and Connie were having a moment. They were like staring into each other's eyes, and it's interrupted by John's motel phone. Motel phone. What's happening? I haven't even drank yet. Interrupted by John's motel phone ringing. On the other end of the line is Gordon. Gordon tells John that he's in now forever. It's just gonna be Ingrid in my notes, but
oh, yo,
Ingrid.
This part fucking changed me because I was like,
yes.
Are you fucking kidding me right now? Like,
yeah,
because
100%. I think no. You can go read a scene anytime you want. Just interrupt me. I was just gonna say, I think at this point it had gotten dark in my house when I was watching this, and I was like, oh, I was like getting chills watching this scene. But so now Gordon called him and tells John that he's with Indrid Cold. A man comes on the phone in kind of like a distorted voice, and he tells John that his name is Indrid Cold, and John hits record on the voicemail machine to try to like record this for later. John doesn't believe that it's not just Gordon, like initially like kind of messing with him, I guess. So the man starts, and I don't know why I put this so stupidly in my notes, but he starts spitting off factual things about John.
I wrote, this is my word for word, he starts like reading John's mind, like predicting shit. What even is happening?
That's so great. That's so great. Yeah, so he starts telling John, like, he doesn't remember his mom's face, like, things that, like, and I put things that, like, no one would know, especially not Gordon. So at this point, John's like, fuck it, I'm really going to test this guy now, like, if he's watching me. So he puts his watch in his shoe, and he kicks it under the bed, and he asks the man where his watch is, and the man tells him exactly where it is, and I put in all capital letters, chills, because I was, like, I actually had chills at this point. And then John looks out the window. He, like, closes all the blinds because, like, he's, like, someone's clearly watching me from the outside. Then he goes on to, like, test the guy further. He's like, what's in my hand? It was a thing of chapstick. The guy knew. What line of the book am I looking at right in front of me? So my notes here, I said, I get it now. He's seeing through their eyes. That's why the kid's eyes were bleeding. Like, that's what I was thinking at this point. Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I was thinking that everything that the guy was seeing, like, he was literally, because there's just, like, eyeballs throughout the thing. There was an eyeball on the TV. The guy's eyeballs are bleeding. Yeah, so that's what I was thinking. At this point, I was like, okay, he's coming through them and everything they're seeing. Because when he was, like, looking at the book and he was reading exactly the line as he was saying it, I thought he was seeing right through them. So, cut to a flash of Connie in her cop car driving fast down a road, and then I said, I guess we missed her leaving the motel room. I don't know if I just missed that, but it was like, you got kind of distracted with John on the phone with Indrid, but, like, initially the scene started with him and Connie together in the motel room, and then she's just, like, racing down the road.
Well, it kind of makes sense, because she was there when Gordon called, and then she left to go to Gordon's house.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I missed her leaving. Yeah. It must have been in between me pausing it a billion times. So you cut back to John. He asks him he asks Indrid what he looks like, and the man says it depends on who's looking. I thought that was so creepy. John tells him he wants to meet him, and the man says he's already met him and he's seen his fear. Ugh, that sentence is so gross. John says, I want to ask you a question. The man says, why ask me what you already know? And John says, what happened to my wife? The man says, you were there. What happened to your wife can't be found by looking. You will see her in time. Then, like, this, like, really loud electronic screeching on the phone happens, and John, like, kind of pulls the phone away from his ear.
But also, Connie makes it to Gordy's house. Gordy.
Yes, Gordy.
And he's like, what the fuck is going on? And she's like, did you just call John? And he's like, no, I was asleep. Like,
yeah, he goes, I've been asleep since 9. And I was like, okay, I guess you're just supposed to assume that it's past 9 o'clock.
That's true. It's like 9:20. I've been asleep since 9.
I've been asleep since 9. And then, so I said next scene, and then it's just my text is all red because I said next scene, and every scene they keep showing these phone poles, like these phone lines, and I'm like, what the fuck is the connection through all of this with the phone lines? They just kept showing them, like the phone towers, the lines of like switchboards. I was just like, what the fuck is this? So the next scene, John's having the voice recording analyzed. The person that's working on the recording tells John that the man's voice is much higher, and then it's distorted. And the worker asks John, like, "Hey, why are you so why do you assume that this is a man's voice?" And so I put interesting. I guess Ingrid is a female name. So stupid. And then I said the first time he said not a male, I thought Connie for some reason. Like it was a twist. Like there was a twist that Connie was the Mothman.
I actually kind of did too.
But then I was like, but then I thought Mary. And then I said, but I'm thinking maybe it's just a woman, or maybe it channels whatever voice its victims appeal to. And I don't know. This movie's just a mind fuck. That's what I wrote.
But then the guy just goes, it's not coming from human vocal cords.
Yes, and then I put, really though, guy? Like, could you actually tell that? Like, is that like, could you actually, like, I mean, I guess if you're a voice analysis, you'd be able to, like, an analyst, you'd be able to be like, oh, that's a dog voice. There's a dog voice.
It's not a Mothman at all. It's literally a dog.
Like... It's a dog. I don't know. I thought that was... Alright, my shot thing is coming up soon, so hold on. It's on this page.
I'm so excited.
It's actually not as dramatic now, and I actually already said it to you at one point, but it's all in capitals, so I'll read it to you. But, alright, so we have a couple more things before that happens, though. So, flashes of words about prophecies on the screen, they're just kind of describing to you, it's like about seeing the future. Okay, next scene, John's on the phone with Ed. Ed's telling him, like, hey, man, you gotta, like, call Cyrus, which is his boss, and he's like, you gotta make up something, like, I can't keep... Like, I'll cover for you, whatever you tell me, but, like, you gotta make up something, because, like, throughout this whole thing, he just left to go to this place, and he sold a job,
and, like, can I be honest with you? That storyline, like, I couldn't have cared less about. It's, like, who cares?
Yeah.
Like, they just put it in
I think they were
just based on a book. Like, they could have easily have written that entire storyline out by being, like, I'm on vacation or something. Like, but they kept going back to, like, oh, you gotta come back to work. It's like, this is so stupid.
But I feel like the only reason maybe they did that was because they were trying to prove the point that, like, this guy had an established career. He was very career driven, and even over that, this whole thing that was, like, taking over his life kept him away from his job that he clearly cared about. That's the only reason I think maybe they kept that in, but I could be wrong. So anyway, so then he tells Ed, he's gonna... Oh, sorry, yeah, so he's on the phone, and Ed's like, tell me what you want me to tell him, I'll cover for you, but you gotta tell me something, you're gonna get fired soon. John gets off the phone, and he tells Connie that he has a flight at 8 a.m. the next morning, and I was like, to where? Like, I don't know if I caught that. Did you catch where he was supposed to be going?
I think he's supposed to go back to D.C.
D.C.? Oh, okay, alright, maybe I just missed that. So then, oh, no, sorry, the next scene, he's waiting outside to meet the author. That's where his flight was. He was going to meet Alexander Leek. So,
but that guy lives in D.C., didn't he? Because when they're walking around, I thought I saw, like, some monuments and stuff behind them, like famous D.C. building.
It's possible. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know where he lives.
I could be wrong. I'm wrong a lot, so.
Me too. Anyway, he's waiting for Alexander Leek, which is the author, and he's like basically like goes up to this guy in an alley, and he's like, "Please help me! Like, all this shit's happening. I know you wrote this book, and blah blah blah." And the guy's like really hesitant, and he almost walks away from him, and then he kind of like reels him back in. So the next scene is them like talking about butterflies inside of a library. And sorry, I just want to go back super quick. When he first meets him, John follows him into an alley. John shows him the drawing of the Mothman. And then in my parentheses, in my notes, I said, to be clear, they have not yet once said the Mothman. I'm just saying that. They didn't say Mothman at all through this whole movie. We just went in knowing this, right? So then the next scene, they're talking about butterflies inside of this library, and Alexander says Mothman for the first time. Like 20 seconds after I wrote that they have not said Mothman, and I was like cracking up at that timing. So Alexander says, he says Mothman, and then he says, well, that's what the Ukrainians called him. It's a rough translation, of course. And then he says there was over 100 sightings in Chernobyl, and then I put in notes, if that place wasn't scary enough, holy shit. I mean, like now you got
Yeah.
the Mothman in Chernobyl. So 100 sightings the year that the nuclear plant went down, and in Galveston, 1969, just before the hurricane, they all saw it. He goes on to say that none of these things scientifically exist, but they exist in electricity and infrared waves and microwaves. And then I was like, fucking great. Now I have to worry about my microwave now. Like, the radiation part wasn't scary enough. Now I have to worry about the Mothman taking over me from the microwave.
He's gonna come out of your ramen noodles.
My ramen noodles. They showed up in cave paintings. He says, so this part got me. He said, you know, the buildup of energy before something happens, like the hair standing up before like lightning strikes. And then this is my rant here. I said, oh my God, this has been happening to me a lot lately. Like a lot.
Oh my God.
I'm consistently feeling like there's hair sticking up on the back of my neck, like something's like right behind me. And I've been feeling like someone's been tapping me on the middle of my back for like almost a month now. Like I literally can feel like this on my back. And it was creeping me out listening to this because it was like describing exactly that, like something.
Okay, so
Wait, can I
viewers,
just?
if you're listening to her symptoms, it turns out she has some kind of disorder, like, and like, please
Oh
write in.
yes. Do I have some sort of spinal disorder? And then we have a noisemaker in our room, and this is all with like electricity and stuff. Have you ever had like a sound that's like going off, like a noisemaker or white noise, whatever, and like someone walks past it, it kind of changes the sound for a second?
Yeah.
Like when someone walks in a room. So Tyler plays like Xbox all the time like after I go to bed. And so like I don't usually hear him come in at night. I'm usually passed out. But sometimes when I turn my back to the other side, like away from the noisemaker, I'll hear as if someone's passing that. And like I look around and no one's there. And it sounds like Tyler has walked past it. So this whole thing just creeps me out. So I put so creepy to begin with, but might be more creepy once I find out like more about the Mothman. And then I said, I'm so glad I went into this blind. Sam, you were right. Take a shot. And this is my shot.
Yay!
Because you were right about it. So here we go. Ready? Do you have your
All right,
whiskey?
I'm gonna do a little sip of mine.
Okay, ready? Oh wait, hold on. Let's do this.
One.
Wait. Do you have a thing?
Oh.
Yeah. Go.
I actually kind of miss tequila.
I thought I did too. I had it in a margarita the other day, and I was like, oh, I love tequila so much. And then I ran out of the margarita mix, and I just started drinking the tequila, like, on ice. And I was like, oh, I don't like it.
I'm gonna sprinkle in a tiny bit of, like, other research I found, because this is where he's, like, establishing the history of the Mothman, right?
Yeah,
so,
can I say one thing before you do that? And I don't know if this is gonna, I think because this will go better into what you're about to say, but Alexander goes on after my rant here, after he says, like, it's about, like, the buildup and things that you feel. He basically describes, like, the sightings, and he says before something bad happens, but then he goes on to say, like, their motives aren't human. That's exactly what he says. And then he explains that it's interesting that Josh, who the fuck is Josh? The tequila hit me already. He goes on to say that it's very interesting that John has noticed them at this point, and they've noticed him, but nothing traumatic has happened to him at this point, which I think is interesting. Everyone else has had some sort of ailment happen to them, like the eyes or...
Well, I mean, he did lose his wife. Oh, you mean, like, to him personally. I see. I was like, that's pretty traumatic.
Yeah, like, this dude lost his wife. I'm sorry, go ahead. I just wanted to throw that in there, so go ahead.
Oh, yeah. No, it's okay. But from what I read, like, the name Mothman didn't come from the Ukraine. It came from... They just called it Mothman because I guess Batman was really popular at the time.
I have that as a note, and then I was like, I don't understand that. Explain that to me.
So it's mostly just like, so what people were actually not in the movie, but in actual, like, Point Pleasant experiencing, they're like, oh, it's like a guy with 10-foot wings and all this crazy shit.
Oh, like he
So
looked
the
like Batman.
But they were like, oh, it's Mothman, and they just named him that because it was kind of trendy to call things like Owlman and Batman.
Oh,
Mothman.
interesting.
And then the only thing I read, but I didn't honestly do a super deep dive on like the conspiracy websites and
I
stuff
didn't
this
either. I
time.
just did one little small
Um,
glimpse.
but yeah, it looks like the only reference to Mothman in Russia was like in 1999, so it would have been like 30 years after this movie took place, you know, because this movie took place in like the 60s.
Did
And
it?
they were like, "Oh, we know." Yeah, I thought so.
Oh, I
Wait,
don't know.
when did that
I
bridge
don't.
collapse? Was it 60s
Oh,
or
you're
I
right.
thought it
I'm
was like
sorry. I don't know
way
why.
earlier.
Wow, I don't know why that. Hold on. I had a whole bunch of shit
Yeah,
about the bridge.
1967. Yeah, 1967 is when the actual Silver Bridge collapsed. So
Wow.
like it took place in the 60s. So like any reference to Russia, like the only thing I found was that they saw Mothman before like these apartment bombings, but that was like I said in 99. So I
Interesting.
don't
I
know.
didn't catch that the whole time. I thought it was in 2002, and I accepted that VCRs were everywhere.
Hey,
I was like,
we at
I
least had
guess.
DVDs in 2002.
Oh my god, I didn't put any of that together. I feel so stupid. Like, the cars are super old, everything. I just assumed it was just 2002. I'm like, oh, 2002 is so long ago.
Well, I mean, they did a good job. Like, the clothes weren't really dated or anything. It didn't
Yeah.
like look like anyone was dressed in
Thank
like
you for trying to make me
60s
feel better.
outfits and stuff. Yeah. It was mostly like the technology, like you said, in the cars and
Oh, so
the
stupid.
fact that no one had a cell phone. But
This is gonna be our text for when you're editing this one. We're like, I'm so stupid. I didn't even know it was in the 60s. Oh my god, so stupid. All right. All right.
no, you're not.
So the next scene, John and Alexander are walking and talking. So this part I thought was pretty cool. He's talking about the call that he got from that oh god, here comes the tequila. It's creeping up. That was such a big shot I took too.
Dude, I am almost finished this. This is too much alcohol for me.
I almost brought up a double shot glass. I'm so glad I didn't. So they're walking and he's telling Alexander about the call he got from Gordon, how it seemed that Indrid knew everything that was happening when it was happening, and he further explains. So Alexander goes on to give this like really good example that I thought was pretty cool of if you're on the ground and there's like a building, a tall like skyscraper building in front of you, and there's someone that's cleaning the windows all the way up at the top, and they see a car accident happen before you because they're higher up. They've now witnessed it because they've seen it before you, and you're on the ground. That doesn't make them a god. That just makes them be able to see something that you didn't see before it happened. I don't know if that sounded terrible because it sounded terrible as I was describing it, but
no, actually, no.
I thought that was
described it perfect.
And then I had in here about that scares me for people that like believe in like religious things that could be something that's super like someone that believes in something that was so unbelievable and the only thing that they believe could have been is something religious when in all reality it could have been a really malevolent force that just could see the future, and it's not like I don't know, I got into a really like crazy thing there where I was like, I bet people like, I think that's why like demons and angels and stuff like that can seem like intertwined because they have kind of the same ability to see in the future, but it doesn't always mean that it's a good thing, you know?
100%.
I just feel it's just all up here now.
You're getting a little tunnel vision.
Oh god, the lines on the road are blurring. I'm gonna end up in my car.
Dude, I told you.
He's peeking at me.
You're gone and like you're just in West Virginia for some reason. But
I was born and raised there, so.
No, but like I loved that analogy because but he also did like the analogy I kind of always see in movies where it's like, have you ever tried telling a cockroach about your problems? It's like they can't understand. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like I hear that analogy so often where it's like try to relate to an ant. That's like God trying to talk to you, and it's like you can't understand him. But that window cleaner thing was so fucking. I don't know.
It was really genius.
Creative.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So after the whole scene where he's describing like basically how the Mothman came to be and the legend of him, whatever. So next scene, John's back in Point Pleasant. He's with a large group of people outside. They're at like maybe a parade or something. He passes a really small boy, like a little kid with bloody eyes, which I thought was really sad. And he sees Connie and the woman that drew the picture. I didn't catch her name. I don't know why, but she's
Actually,
there.
I'm so sorry. I don't want to do this to you, but before we move on, there was something that the doctor said to him that really freaked me out, where he basically said it was super fucking weird that so many people had like an experience with Mothman. And he was like, this is really unusual for that. And he's like, so something really, really bad is going to happen in Point Pleasant.
Oh, yes, and he warns him not to go back to Point Pleasant. Sorry, I forgot that part as well.
No, it's okay. That part freaked me out. He's like, don't go back, because usually it's not like a whole town. Like,
yes, something big was going to happen. Yeah, and he tells him not to go back there. Okay, you're right.
But sorry, going
no,
back,
it's okay.
Connie.
Yeah, I was just making sure I didn't forget anything, but I think he comes back later, and I think I'm mixing stuff up here. But anyway, so he sees Connie and the lady that drew the picture in the town. I don't remember her name. And then he waves at Denise, which Denise is Gordon's husband, and she gives him like this real bitch face, like just nasty. And Connie tells him that she left Gordon because he got fired from the chemical plant because he just wasn't showing up to work. And I put that's surprising because she seems like a ride or die kind of country wife. Like, like I don't know why I was so surprised at the fact that she just seemed such a loving, supportive wife. I don't know.
I'm wondering if it wasn't just because the chemical plant. I mean, if your husband's staring at himself in the mirror for like an hour, like hearing voices.
Yeah. I actually said that too. I said I wonder if it's something more. So Connie tells John that another 15 more people reported seeing that thing, and I put in parentheses Mothman, and 3 of them were cops, which I guess maybe they said that just to kind of give like a little bit of reality to the claims. Like these are like cops, they're believable. I don't know. And so they're all walking, like this really large crowd of people. They're walking towards like the end of the street. They're looking at something, and I had something feels wrong. I think something's bad gonna happen here. Something bad is going to happen here, and then nothing happened. So I don't know. That scene just gave me like this really creepy vibe. I think they were trying to do that on purpose. Like they show you the kid with the eyes and everything, and then nothing happens. I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, I didn't even think about that. I thought that they were showing that it was like a Christmas celebration to show just how much time had passed.
Oh, see, I didn't even think of that. That's smart.
He's been without his wife for like 2 years, because I remember at the beginning that party he was like ducking out of to be with his wife. Yes. It was like a Christmas party, so it's like
I didn't even think of that at all. That's smart.
It's I don't know about that, but that's what I was kind of thinking. I was like, okay, I guess it makes sense. Like it's been a long time since his wife died, but
interesting.
Anyway.
I love that we both have caught different emotions and different things that like neither of us thought of. All right, so the next scene you're seeing flashes like of Gordon's house, and then back to John driving on the road. John passes Gordon on a bridge by himself. He's like by the railing. He tells John that he can't leave because he's waiting for him, which I guess would be Mothman or Indrid or whatever. And then Gordon describes sleep paralysis to him, which I think was so creepy because the day I watched this, I was talking to someone about her husband having sleep paralysis and how he was like, he was next to her in bed and he was like yelling for her to wake him up, and like she couldn't hear him. He was just like having like sleep paralysis, and I thought it was so creepy that I was just talking about that with someone, and then he's describing sleep paralysis. So he tells him that he that's when he hears him at nighttime, like during this whole sleep paralysis thing. And then John leaves the bridge and he goes, and then I said John leaves the bridge and I guess leaves Gordon out there, and then I put, what a terrible friend, maybe he's going to get help, and then I put nope.
I literally fucking wrote the same thing. I was like, okay, so now John's in bed. Did he leave Gordy on the bridge?
Yeah, no, I literally went, maybe he's going to get help. Nope. And then the next scene's John tossing and turning in his motel bed, and I said, good, I hope you can't sleep. You left your buddy out on the bridge in the dark in a clearly mentally unstable situation, you jackass.
No, what the fuck? It's like his wife just left him. He's on a bridge. Like, what do you think is gonna happen? And he's like, all right,
he's
well,
waiting. He's waiting for this creature that's like ruining a whole town of people. And like, it's just...
I'm glad we both noticed that, because it's like, How did you just gloss over that?
He's like, have a good night, Gordy. See you tomorrow.
Yeah. All right. Well, bye.
Oh my god. It's so stupid.
I know, that bugs me.
Yeah, so John's tossing and turning, and he turns around in bed and he sees Mary. This was one of the situations where I had paused it, and fucking Deborah Messing's name came up in the credit list, and I was like, fuck you, Amazon. So John sees Mary. Mary tells him that she wants him to be happy like she did in the hospital before she died. And John gets a phone call, I guess is what it's supposed to say. And the voice says, this is your wake-up call. And John tells the man, like, he didn't ask for a wake-up call. I guess this might be the motel clerk. I don't know. And then he's like, I didn't ask for a wake-up call. 6:14 a.m. I wrote it down. This is the time that he got the wake-up call. And I'm not sure if that's significant. And it is actually because, hold on. The trivia had something about that, and I put a star next to it, so I remembered to look.
Oh, shit.
Oh, the clock radio in John Klein's motel room reads 6:14. It's a biblical reference to John Carpenter. Oh, God. It's a reference to John chapter 6, verse 14, which reads, this is indeed the prophet who is to come into the world. So that's what that means.
So I guess there is, like, weird biblical overtones to this movie.
Yeah, I guess there is. So maybe the John and Mary thing you're right about. So, alright, so let's see.
Well, I mean, they did make her a redhead. Like, Mary Magdalene is supposed to be, like, a redhead.
I have no idea. I'm the worst person to ask about that. So after, like, the motel clerk, I'm assuming, wakes him up, John is in the bathroom. God. He's looking in the mirror.
Yes, this is the worst scene in the movie. This fucking gave me I jumped.
Like, yeah. I think it was because I was pausing it and stuff, and I didn't get that jump scare, unfortunately, but I did notice it. So I said, John's in the bathroom looking in the mirror. He seems very confused and is going in and out of hallucinations of himself smashing his head into the mirror. John gets a call, and it's Gordon. Gordon keeps repeating that it's real and that John shouldn't worry. He says, I'll see you in time, which is what Indrid says about Mary. So I had put bye-bye Gordon because I feel like you knew he was going to die. Like, you think he's going to die.
Like, that mirror scene, I wish that you had the same experience as me, because he's just staring into the mirror, and like, the first thing I wrote, like you said, I was writing in real time, so I was like, I fucking hate long mirror shots, and then, fuck, he smashed his head in the mirror, and I fucking jumped. He didn't really. Fucking Gordy calls him. Like, I'm just, like, having a mental breakdown that whole scene.
Yeah, I know, and, like, that's why, like, I definitely, like, I even think back to, like, and we'll have to talk about this in another episode, but Sam and my brother recently showed me, oh my god, what the fuck is that terrible movie that you guys made me watch?
Dreamcatcher.
Oh, Dreamcatcher. And we all watched it together over FaceTime, and they made a slideshow of my face of all the crazy emotions I was having through it. And I feel like if I had watched that, how I watched these movies, and I was pausing and stuff, I would not have had the same reactions, because it would have been like, so-and-so enters the room, like, and I'm almost thinking I really want to try super hard to watch a whole movie through, and then, like, take notes, but, I don't know, it's so hard not to write stuff down, because you think it's important.
Well, I guess the way that I write my notes is, like, I'm basically handwriting them. I'm not typing them.
Yeah.
So, like, they're not very neat or anything. I just have, like, a pen in my hand, and I'm just like, oh shit, oh fuck, like, this is crazy. Like, I'm just writing what I'm thinking as I'm watching.
But I feel like mine are important to our structure here, because
you're right.
Because I, like, we like, I tell the story, and then we talk about, like, how we felt during it. Like, do you have enough notes that we could go scene by scene?
Not in the way that we are currently doing.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Maybe we could switch it up sometimes, but I just have a hard time going into it not thinking that I know everything, which is a terrible way to do things, I guess. But anyway, yeah. So then Gordon says, now you got me saying Gordy. Gordon says, I'll see you in time, which is the same thing that Indrid says about Mary. So then you see a scene of Gordon walking in, like, a foggy, dark, wooded area alone. The next scene is John leaving the motel room. He heads to Gordon's house. John's running into the house, and he's running into the woods. He can't find Gordon anywhere. Then you see like a dead Gordon staring off into the woods, but you don't see any like wounds or self-inflicted marks. He almost looks like he froze out there and like a tiny bit of snow around him. I don't know if you caught that. There was literally just snow around him. Like he froze in just that one. I know it was winter, of course, but like there was just snow right around Gordon's body, like a circle almost.
I actually didn't notice that.
And then John closes Gordon's eyes. And now, like, I didn't write this down, but like just talking about it now, like, fuck you, Richard Gere. Like, you left your buddy, like, like I can't believe he didn't jump off the bridge right there. Like, that's what should have happened because, like, oh my god. And then, okay, and then, so hold on, let's just go to the next scene because John's talking to Connie now about John. You know, of course, Denise is, like, distraught. She's crying in the background. And she says that he died of exposure. Now, I don't know if I just missed it. Were they saying exposure to the cold? Like, what was he exposed to?
Well, exposure is just like you're exposed to the elements. So
okay.
You can die from exposure in the heat. You could die.
I gotcha.
You're just out in the wilderness.
I gotcha.
But yeah, didn't they say like he was dead for like 8 hours?
Yeah, they said how long do you think he had been out there for? And he says probably about 8 hours. And then Connie's like, when did you talk to Gordon? And he's like, an hour ago. And Connie's like, fuck this, I cannot deal with this, and just like walks away.
Yeah.
So the next scene, John's at a bar. Then he leaves to run into Josh Garrett, who I guess is the chief. I don't remember seeing him much up to this point. And he's like, oh, nope. This Chief Josh is like, oh, sorry, John, I meant to call you back. It slipped my mind. And John's like, oh, look, there was a Josh. I just realized that. Maybe that was what I was thinking of earlier. I have no idea.
Hey.
And John's like, dude, I didn't call you. And he's like, yes, you did. And he's like, no, I do see this crazy glare on my face. It's like I have stripes on my face.
Very, like, cinematic.
Yeah, it's very 80s album cover. That's what
it kind of reminds me of like Sin City or like some detective.
Ooh, yes. So anyway, so then the next kind of scene, I guess, after that is John going to have his voice analyzed by the same guy that was analyzing Mothman's voice, and he's like, this couldn't have been me, like I didn't call him, and he's like, nope, it's definitely your voice. And then I don't know, we're back in his motel room or something, and he swings the mirror in his bathroom, and you see a monster face, like, reflect back, and I was like, I don't think he sees it, and I guess that's Mothman. I don't know, I had in parentheses. The next scene, John is walking in the street, and you, the viewer, see, like, a really messy, sick-looking Mary, which, like, really caught my attention. I was like, holy shit, that's Mary.
Yeah.
She walks away pretty quickly, and then she disappears. John enters this is not important. See, this is the kind of shit I did not need to write down. John enters a diner to get coffee, heads to the station. Like, that was not necessary. All right, so anyway, John goes to the station. He runs into Connie, and Connie's like, oh, did you see the woman that just left? She was asking a bunch of questions about you. And he's like, what woman? And then she's like, oh, she was asking a bunch of, like, really weird questions, and she wanted to know if you were happy. And then she goes on to, like, describe the woman, like, to a T as Mary. And so John, like, rips out a picture of Mary out of his wallet, and he's like, is this her? Is this her? And Connie's like, no, listen, crazy, calm down. It wasn't your dead wife, obviously. like, relax. And he's like, you're making me feel like I'm crazy. Go ahead.
Because I feel like Connie has been with him this entire time through everything. And, like, going forward in the movie, she just, like,
doesn't believe him.
Yeah, like, for some reason, in, like, a scene coming up, too, she's just like, this is crazy.
But yeah, no, you're exactly right, and I felt that way. And as it goes on, she's like, listen, it's not real, man. And I'm like, what the fuck? You're the one that started this whole thing. He could have just left, never knowing anything weird was happening in the town. Yeah. No, I agree. All right, so she's making him feel like he's really crazy. The next scene, John's answering the phone in the middle of the night. It's just electric screeching again. Then there's flashes of Connie's eyes. And then I said, is the Mothman seeing through Connie's eyes? So again, this whole movie, I was just thinking that it comes through their eyeballs. Back to John in the hotel room. He's trying to record the phone call that started with electronic screeching. It's Indrid's voice, but he's talking in like how Mary would talk. Not Mary's voice, but how things that she would say. And it was just saying, I'm sorry I ruined everything, which is so torturous. I mean, could you imagine if there's just this horrible thing, just repeating the same thing your wife said to you as she passed away? The
Also,
next scene,
like,
John's...
how is that at all relevant? Like, to the prophecy. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's like...
It's just stalking him. I think it has to do with their fear. Because remember he says, I've seen your fear? Yeah, I think he...
Oh, yeah.
I think he plays on their fear. And I had mentioned earlier... hold on. Hold on. You can hear my notes.
Crinkling.
Maybe it channels whatever voice its victims appeal to. Like, maybe that's what it feeds on. Like, this guy's dead wife, or... I don't know, something that would really just, like, mess with them enough that it can get its fear. Like, that's... And then eventually it just tells them a prophecy. I don't fucking know. So, let's see. So John's speeding down the road, and he's still having flashes of his wife, like, in and out. The next scene, he's at the door of the author, Alexander, again, and he's, like, begging him this time. He's like, please just tell me what happened to you. Like, there's too much shit going on that I can't just ignore that, like, you're someone that knows what happened, and, like, I need to talk about it. And so Alexander Leak goes on to basically say, like, he lost everything, his family, his job, and then and it's just a whole kind of conversation about the Mothman again, and then he goes on to say, like, we're not allowed to know what they want, which I thought was really creepy. They kind of take over your life, but we're not allowed to know what they want.
Yeah, because even, like, the doctor, he's like, yeah, I mean, I was getting premonitions, the police, like, thought I was involved, and, like, my family stopped talking to me because I became so obsessed. And so he was like, I stopped listening to the prophecy so I could regain some kind of, like, semblance of, like, normalcy and, like, get my life back in order. And, like, he was trying to tell John to, like, do the same thing. He's like, just stop.
Yeah.
Like, because
we
can't understand.
Yeah, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. That's super important. Let's keep that in mind, especially for the viewers, that he exiled himself from these voices, and that worked for him. So let's just kind of keep that in mind as we go on. So the next scene, John's aggressively cleaning out his motel room. He's throwing, like, everything away except for this picture of Mary staring at, and I put in parentheses, nice boobs, never messing, because that was such an aggressive picture to keep, like, of your wife in, like, a bikini with her boobs just, like, hanging out. Like, I don't know, I guess.
Well, I liked, you know what's so funny, when I was thinking about that, the picture he showed Connie when Connie was, like, describing a woman that, like, came looking for him. I thought he was going to show her that picture, and it was, like, a different picture. And I was like, oh, good. Keep the booby picture to yourself.
Keep that one for your later nights. Sorry if you hear my knuckles cracking. So the next scene, John answers the phone, and it's his boss, which, again, you've just completely forgotten about at this point that he has a job, like you said earlier.
I know. I don't whatever.
He answers the phone. The guy's like, I need you to report a story about the governor. He's coming, which I think is so random. Like, he's coming to the chemical plant in Point Pleasant. Is the governor coming to the point? Like you've never talked about this at all, and now all of a sudden he's just going to be there and whatever. John hangs up, and he turns the volume up in the tape recorder, and he hears the words, great tragedy up the river, Ohio. The next scene, John's at Connie's house, and I put question marks because they don't actually say that it's her house, but, like, it's not a motel room, and it's the only other house that, like, we've seen Connie in. John has Connie... Yeah, John has Connie up against a wall, which I was like, ooh, steamy, it's finally going to happen, and then it doesn't. John tried to get Connie to leave town, but she just won't. She doesn't believe anything. She doesn't believe anything's real. Like, all of a sudden now it's just like, you're crazy, man. This is all crazy. Like,
I know, and I even wrote that. I was like, for some reason, Connie doesn't believe him anymore, even after everything that she has also experienced with him. Like, I fucking hate that.
Yeah, I don't know. That was a weird way that they went with her character. Like, I don't know.
Like, she was the one crying and trying to tie in her weird ass presence drowning dream to Mothman, and now all of a sudden she's like, it's not real, and I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. That was a weird... I have no idea. The next scene, John, here's my note, once again is speeding down the fucking road. He's always speeding down the road. He meets the governor at the airport, and he tries to warn the governor. Now, here's the only time I really enjoyed Richard Gere's acting.
Yes.
He actually tries to warn the governor. It's my biggest pet peeve when they're in a movie and they're like, "No, stop! Don't go in there! No, please, listen, no!"
But
They're like, that's their warning.
And he sounds so fucking crazy. Like he
does.
He sounds like he's completely lost his mind. But it's because he sounds so sincere. Like he's really afraid. And everyone's like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" Like,
yeah, and what? I love that the governor was like, "Get me Cyrus on the phone. Like, I'm gonna have this guy fired. He's disrupted my day. Like, he's just such an asshole." And I'm like, "All right, well, I don't fucking care what happens to the governor now. He tried to warn him." Like, so he tries to warn him, and he does a really good job at that. Let's see. The governor heads to the plant anyway. John's sitting at a bar later, and he gets this letter that the waiter gives him, and it says the message reads, "Mary will call Georgetown Friday at noon." Oh, it says Friday noon. I added the "at" in there, and I put interesting. So the next scene, John and Connie say goodbye as John's heading back to DC for his call with Mary. Again, it's just so fucked up. You're just toying with this guy.
It's probably good to mention nothing happened at the chemical plant. So, whatever John predicted was going to happen by Mothman saying tragedy on the river Ohio, he was convinced it was the chemical plant. Nothing happened.
But yes, you are correct. Good bringing
now he's
that up.
like, well, maybe it's not even real. I don't know.
Yeah.
And he's doubting
So better get home to talk to my dead wife on the phone at noon. So the next scene, John's at home. We see flashes of Mary as he walks through the house. So now all of a sudden there's just a flash of I feel like I sounded so terrible. I said I'm gonna listen back and be like, why did I sound like that? Flash. That's exactly what I'm gonna say when I'm editing this. There's so bad. No, it's terrible. There's flash scenes of Connie wrapping presents with bows at her house, like her dream about the water, and I'm like, oh boy, okay, I guess the boring ass dream was necessary. So Connie calls John literally 5 minutes before he's supposed to be on the phone with his dead wife, and she tells him that she booked him a flight and she to come back and be with her for Christmas, and John declines, and Connie has this really, really convincing, just emotional conversation with him and argument about look, Mary's dead. If she wasn't dead, she is dead, and if she is dead, she's dead or alive, she's not with Indrid Cold. She's moved on. You need to move on with your life. She's just trying so hard to be supportive. I enjoyed her in this scene. And then Richard Gere or John is just but what if she's not? Just in one ear and out the other about what she's talking about. And then I don't know this. I don't know why this caught my eye, but Connie kept saying, "We do dinner at 6. We do presents at 8." And I was like, "Who's we? The fucking town? Do you guys all eat at the same time? Why do you?"
Yeah, she doesn't have kids or anything.
I don't know. That was a weird thing for me. So John, I guess maybe might be thinking about it, and he hangs up with Connie, and then the phone rings. As John kind of walks away from the phone rings. John almost picks it up. It's very dramatic, I have to say. He did a good
yeah, and actually,
acting in
on
this.
the phone with Connie, I was like, he has a meltdown. He needed it, and
yes,
I think he actually did need it, because without that, he never picks up the phone, even though he thinks. Oh,
he absolutely had to have that happen, 100%. And so he's literally reaching for the phone, and he's hovering above it, and he almost picks it up, and then he just kind of super aggressively and emotionally chucks the wall, the phone against the wall, and he rips it out of the cord out of the wall. And then it's kind of silent for a second, and then I was like, I know this is gonna happen, I know it. And then the phone rings again.
I know.
You knew it, right?
I was very predictable as soon as he tore the phone out of the wall. I knew it was gonna start ringing.
Yeah,
still.
Yeah, it has to. It always happens like that. And then John walks out the door and he leaves for his flight with Connie. And then I said, and then in my notes here I said, is this all about what you let in? He refused the sounds and temptations and it left him alone. So very similar to what you were saying before with Dr. Leek, when you kind of exile yourself from the situation and you don't let it in anymore, it moves on to its next prey, I guess. I don't know, in this type of situation. That's when I had caught on to that. You caught on to it earlier. So the next thing you see John driving, 90% of this movie is John driving, just to clarify for everybody.
That's a really good point. And also, didn't she say she bought him a plane ticket, but for some reason he's driving to West Virginia?
Oh shit! I never caught that. You know what I think it is though. I think, and this is the only thing I can think of because I never caught that. You're very smart to catch that. I think maybe it's because she was. You have to leave right now, or you'll miss it. I don't know what's happening to me today. Holy shit. She's like, you have to leave right now, or you'll miss your plane. And then they had like a 20-minute conversation, and then he did the whole phone thing. So I think he missed his flight.
Yeah.
But other
Or
than
maybe
that,
he
that
was
makes
like,
no
maybe
sense.
he's like, I need to fucking drive. I need to think about
Yeah,
this.
I just
don't
need to
know,
drive
but...
and clear my head because I always end up in West Virginia when I drive.
Well, he's gonna spend another 8 fucking hours driving there, I guess. But
yeah, or you black
yeah.
out and you're there in an hour. It works out either way.
Perfect.
So the next scene, John is driving and he's stopped on a bridge. We see a bunch of cars stopped too, and then you see Connie, who's also stopped on the bridge, and you see... So they're just kind of panning across all of the cars, and then you see the car...
It's like really bad traffic.
Yeah, and then you pass the car, and it's got the kid with the bloody eyes in the car, and he's sitting on the bridge, too. And I said, oh, shit, getting major, major Final Destination vibes, and something horrible is about to happen. Because, you know at that moment in the end when they all are in, like, they're all in the same spot. They've all survived everything, and that's exactly how I felt watching this. And I put in bold lettering, something bad is about to happen. So John can tell something bad is about to happen. Apparently I wrote that too. He hears Ingrid in his head saying great tragedy. John runs towards the cars and he's trying to stop. He's trying to get everyone out of the cars. Go ahead.
And he's not doing a good job because he's running and he's like, hey, everybody.
He's like, hey, can you get out of your car?
Yeah, like he's like yelling at like normal speaking level. Like he's not yelling. He's just like, hey, you guys should probably get off of the bridge here. And like everyone's in their car, they can't fucking hear you. He's not even yelling.
Sorry, every time I think of a movie, I have to write it down because it makes me before I forget I have to write it down. But yeah, no, he's doing exactly that, and it's like if it was me, like first of all, I'd like to think I'd be a good enough person to not just directly run off the bridge if I knew something like that was going to happen. Right. But, like, I think I'd also be, like, ripping people out of their cars. Like, get out of the car! Get out of the car!
Like, pounding on the windows, being like, you guys, something's going to happen. But he's, like, just talking normal and being like, hey, get out of your car.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah,
exactly.
At a very...
Get off the bridge.
At a very monotone tone.
It's like, what?
Yeah, exactly. So, and then I put the bridge starts unraveling, and I put, oh man, Final Destination stole this scene, like right out of the scene, like right from it, no, yeah, the bridge one came out way after, because I was going to say the first Final Destination came out around this time, but anyway, and obviously this was based off a real bridge accident, but, so John's running towards the cars, he's yelling, and then disaster just starts to unfold as the bridge starts to fall apart, and it starts with the guy with the bloody eyes. He dies first, right off the bat, which is very Final Destination-like, very Final Destination.
Yeah, it's like a big cable, like, swings into the windshield.
Yes,
and just,
such a violent way to die. Yes. Connie has presents in her car and goes in the water, and then I guess we had to hear her boring dream to understand this part. And then you see her radio car reads 37 as her car plummets into the water. John jumps into the water to save Connie. And then I said, was the phone call... Oh, this is a side note. Was the phone call from Mary, and I'm making quotation marks, supposed to be the way Mothman would stop him from being here to save her and others? Did you think about that?
Oh, I don't know.
Because if he had stayed
I don't know, because... But then... If you think about it, the weird premonition dream. Well, what if she... Okay, so now we're getting into weird shit because maybe her premonition had nothing to do with Mothman. It was just like another energy telling her. Because even in her dream where it was like, wake up, number 37, later they tell you like, how many people died? Wait. This is what I'm trying to say.
No, but hold on, I'm not...
tying it in because it kind of like, if Mothman... was telling her that she wasn't gonna die.
No, I'm talking about Mothman stopping John from being in Point Pleasant and saving the people he did, not just Connie.
I know, but if he wasn't there, she would have died, right?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Then her boring ass dream wouldn't have made any sense.
But that's what I'm saying. Right? Where is it all connected? I'm saying it was the Mary plot to get him to away from Point Pleasant so this disaster could actually happen. Like, because he saved a bunch of people, like, not just Connie. He saved, like, even the cop, even the sheriff at the end says, like, this could have been way worse, but we lost this many people. So, like, if he wasn't there to warn people, all of those people would have died, I imagine.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I do understand what you're saying. Yeah.
Okay, so here's my last theory. Wait a minute. This is all really confusing me now. Because wait a minute.
Wait, should we finish?
That call from Mary.
Should we?
Whose house was he at? His house?
He went back to DC. That's what I'm saying. He traveled back home to have a phone call with her in his living room, so he wouldn't have been in Point Pleasant when that happened.
You're right, because it would have like messed him up timing wise driving there.
He wouldn't have been there.
Flown there. If he had flown there, he would have missed it too.
What I'm saying is Mary's call to him was to get him back to DC and away from Point Pleasant, where he wouldn't have been at all. Driving, he wouldn't have gone anything. And then Connie's will, like, made him come back because she wanted him there. So, like, somehow Connie's dream, I guess, made her call him, like...
Oh.
And then stopped Mothman's plan of Mary stopping him from going back to Point Pleasant. God. And Pepe Sylvia.
No, but that actually does make sense because that's interesting.
Yes. Because
I had like a question for you at the end of this episode.
I have a couple questions too. Yeah. All right, hold on. Okay. Let's get to the end of it because we're almost there. So what you were saying before, so her car plummets, and then John jumps in after her. He pulls Connie up from the car, which again, she's submerged in the water. Her presents are all floating, so it's exactly the dream she had. He pulls Connie from the car and brings her to the surface, and you see this really, really eerie shot of like cars lit up underwater as like they pan out. I thought that was so creepy and sad and everything. So this is what you were talking about before. The next scene, the police are at the scene. They're digging up cars and bodies. I had a real Titanic vibe here as they're like paddling through the water. Like I was like, when they were and then John's safe and so is Connie, and Connie's having they're having kind of like a really sweet moment with each other. And so he's like, I'm really glad you called. And he's like, you did call, didn't you? And she's like, she kind of pauses and then she's like, I did.
I know.
And I was like, wait, is this... I don't have the note. I have it here. Did she fucking call him?
Well, I mean, yeah.
Because
what do you mean?
I don't know. It seemed really weird. If you watch it back, he was like, you did call me, right? And she was like, yeah, I called you. Like, I don't know. The whole time you're trying to understand, like, Gordon didn't call him before. It was actually Mothman and this and that. And
but then, wait a minute. But that would, if she didn't call, that would just eliminate everything that we just said about Mary's phone call stopping him.
I know. So then you have to assume that she did actually call him. I don't know. I just thought that her acting on that scene was weird.
Mothman's just throwing out some, like, fucking... confusing ass signals.
Hold on, that just reminded me of another movie. I'm writing it down. Hold on.
Oh my goodness.
I don't remember the name of that one, so I just wrote down a description of it so I remember to look it up later. So then Connie, and this is what you were saying, Connie, the sheriff comes over and he says 36 people died, and Connie says 36, and then she says wake up number 37, and I was like, oh shit, this movie is awesome. And then there's text on the screen, and it says about how the bridge accident was never explained, and that although sightings have continued around the world of Mothman, he was never seen in Point Pleasant again, and that's the end of the movie. So I'm gonna just say off the bat, this wasn't like a your pick movie. This was like a legend one that we did for week 3. But I have to say, great pick. I loved this movie. Yes. I don't know if you can see it on here, but I actually did 5 stars. I googled pictures of gold stars and I put them on my notes. I loved it. I mean, I thought, obviously, we talked about Richard Gere's acting and everything, but there's so many twists and turns in the movie, and even just talking about it now, it's just, like, so many different ways it could have gone and how you perceive things, and I thought it was fucking great. So, I have a couple questions, and we can kind of back and forth between our questions. Right at the end of it, on Amazon, it came up as Mothman of Point Pleasant. So, the Mothman of Point Pleasant was a movie that came up on the side. Is that a prequel or sequel that you know of?
I don't.
Okay.
I have no idea.
Okay. I'm just
It
gonna...
might. I mean, honestly, this is kind of a big, well-known story. So more than one people per pop. More than one
I don't know
person
why
probably
you're
made a
cutting
movie
out.
about it.
I'm not sure. I don't know if that'll happen on your end, but you cut out a little bit. I think I got the logistics of it. And then I put, how did Gordon die? But we talked about that already. I think it was exposure, like from just, he froze outside. Is that really it? Like, did...
Yeah, and I actually have a good question for you. This
Yeah,
one is
let's hear
weird. Is Mothman a bad guy?
Ooh. Because they don't say that he's causing these things. He's actually warning you.
He's just predicting it and telling people that they're gonna happen.
But this goes back to my Gordon question. Did he kill Gordon?
No, I don't
what
know.
What made Gordon kill himself?
Was that ever established?
So is it like is it another biblical type of thing? Is it like you've been chosen to save people by telling them this, but the power of that is so great that it kills you, kind of thing?
Maybe, possibly, because I hear this theory a lot, where it's like people now kind of see Mothman as like this, not like a guardian, but like something that kind of like helps us. Like when you see Mothman, it's like, oh, it's giving you like an opportunity to see the future, but it's not causing it. But then, I don't know, it's interesting.
That is interesting.
I'd be interested to hear your take.
I wonder if it's along the same lines of like a deja vu type of situation. Like, not that predicts something for you, but you ever have such a strong feeling of deja vu where you're like, I feel like this has happened before. And there's even been times where I'm like, not like, I can't be like, Tyler, you're about to take a sip of that. Like, I obviously can't do that. But there's definitely been times where I'm like, I feel like it's going to happen like this. And I feel like I see it played out in my head.
Yeah.
And that's very
that's
interesting.
Just the simulation glitching, right?
Yeah. That's my sim glitching. No, that's very interesting, and especially because I've been feeling lately like so much stuff has been happening to me weird like that. Like, I hope that there's nothing terrible that's about to happen. Holy shit. That's a great question. I don't know. I really can't answer that. I don't think, besides the physical ailments, and I've said ailments like 90 fucking times on this episode. I'm so sorry, you guys. But I fucking feel like the physical attributions, there you go, that have happened to people once they've seen it, or even what results in their death, like in Gordy's situation. Now I'm saying Gordy. Oh, it took the whole episode.
Yes.
That's so funny. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like, I don't know. And I guess you have to be like, is it worth it? Like, if you're the person that like has bloody eyes for the rest of your eyes, I don't know. All right. Well, here's an interesting question for you then, since that one really got me. Here's my question: was John really in the woods those first couple nights at Gordon's house?
No. Well, I mean, they kind of hinted that Mothman could manifest himself as whatever he wanted.
Oh, that's true.
Because like. And even when, like, Gordy called him that one night and he was like, dude, I'm with Indrid right now. And he's like, what? And then when Connie went over there to be like,
oh, you're right.
Are you fucking talking to him? He's like, no, what the fuck are you talking about? Like,
okay, good
so,
call.
I mean, that's my theory. Maybe he was. I don't know.
You're right.
Interesting. Because, like, he did drive there in that weird trance, so maybe that wasn't the first.
But I feel like he also was in D.C. when those first couple ones happened, right?
I don't know. That we barely... like brushed on that. He could have driven there in the night. It took him an hour and a half to get there.
I know. Mothman has super speed in your car. All right, that's interesting.
He could have just driven there in the middle of the night and then come back, and he just only remembered it that last time, you know.
All right. Well, that was the end of my questions. Do you have any more?
Let me think. I've got like a couple like Mothman actual like information.
Okay, so the first trivia thing I found, all from IMDb, was the movie is based on actual events, which we know that occurred between November 1966 and December of 1967 in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. So we knew most of that, but I guess right there told me that it was in the 60s, and I still didn't fucking get that. Director cameo Mark Pellington. He was the bartender, and he also voiced Indrid Cold during the phone call.
Ooh,
so I thought that was cool. Something else about him comes up in a second. Next trivia was contrary to popular belief, the Mothman wasn't originally described. Oh, here we go. You already said this before, but I have to read my note afterwards. I was so proud of it. So contrary to popular belief, the Mothman wasn't originally described as a moth-like creature by witnesses. At the time, the creature was described as a half-bird and half-man. They also claimed that the creature had feathers and would make screeching noises. And my note said, this makes it so much less scary as they essentially just described creature as D. Reynolds. I was cracking myself up with that one.
It's just a bird woman that screeches.
It's a bird woman. Director Mark Pellington, who did the voice of Indrid Cold, occasionally added his voice under the dialogue of characters who spoke on the phone with John Kling throughout the movie. Pellington said that the intention was to create the illusion that Indrid Cold could be any one of those people, and that the entire situation of all those people might actually be in Klein's head, which I thought was super cool.
And honestly, I was getting a lot of that vibe in the beginning, where it was like, is he just crazy, you know? But
yeah, I don't know. I didn't really think of that through any of it. I mean, in the very beginning, I guess, maybe
that's
when...
what I mean. Like,
yeah.
just in the beginning part where it's like, you've been here 3 nights in a row, and like a bunch of random stuff like that. But then as they went on, it's like...
yeah, it seemed less likely that he was crazy and more about the Mothman. At the end of the movie, it states that the cause of the bridge collapse was never determined, but the real Silver Bridge is known to have collapsed due to a failure of the I-bar 330 on the north of the Ohio subsidiary chain, just below the top of the Ohio Tower. Wow, that was a mouthful. The failure of a single I-bar brought the bridge down due to lack of redundancy? Would that make sense there?
I wonder if it's their word of like support.
I guess. I don't know. The tequila is failing me hard here.
But I was maybe you should, but I was gonna say it makes a lot of sense to me, because if you ever Googled like bridge neglect, it's like a really fucked
I
up,
can't.
Like,
no, I'll never drive on a bridge again. I will not do that. I refuse. It said traffic loads far exceeded what the bridge was built to carry. And then I said, well, damn, I guess that goes to show that the text where it said based on true events shit isn't always real, because they changed a lot of that, obviously. The last one I have is the Mothman's face appears 6 times in the movie. The first is when he flies into Mary's face. The second is at the end of the scene where John is talking with the woman who saw Indrid through the window. The camera zooms out, and the scorch mark at the tree's back left by the Mothman has his face. The third is when the young couple describes the incident at the factory site when the Mothman moves off the car, which that was the kid with the bloody eyes. And then the fourth is in the beginning of the oh my god. The fourth is in the beginning of the Mothman's face, and the shape appears in Mary's pupil. No. Why can I not read this line? Oh my god. The fourth is in the beginning. What is happening to this line? Oh my god. The fourth is in the beginning of the zoom out from Mary's photograph after John had smashed the phone. You know what? Take all this out. It doesn't matter. There's a bunch of scenes where the Mothman can be seen, and one of them is in the car light. One of them is in the car light, and I was right before when I said, are you supposed to see something? That's all that is there.
I'm leaving that entire thing.
No. Do not leave that in. Oh my god. There's an Office blooper where the guy that plays Kevin falls out of a chair. Like, it's not part of anything. He literally falls, and he's like, don't you even fucking dare put that in there. And that's how I feel about you editing this shit. Alright, and then the last thing I'm going to say is, so the real myth, which I Googled, of the Mothman came from this site called thenerdist.com. So it said, perhaps the most widely known and talked about modern myth is that of the Mothman, a creature first documented in the late 1960s. Since then, the Mothman has been spotted countless times in the United States. Some say it's a harbinger. How would the fuck? Harbinger of catalytic events. Others say it's an alien life form which connects to UFOs and Men in Black. Many think it has a more particular explanation, is a hoax, or is the product of mass hysteria, which I thought the mass hysteria thing was very interesting, because that is usually how shit like this starts, something like crazy, and then it just builds on from there. And then obviously the viewers will not be able to see this. I don't think I'm allowed to drink anymore after this one.
Dude, this is what I was telling you last time. Oh, creepy. That looks like a demon.
But you know what? I had put in my notes, I've fucking seen that before. I have seen that picture before. Did that look familiar to you?
I gotta be honest with you, it kind of looks like a gargoyle.
Yeah, maybe that's why.
Show gargoyles.
Maybe that's
like,
why. Take a look
exactly
again.
Like that.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Gargoyle.
But do you see how jacked his legs are?
Oh. But he's
So
got really
jacked.
little skinny knees for some reason.
So jacked. Alright, well, that was fucking... Oh, no, I'm sorry. You're not done. Go ahead.
Are you fucking kidding me right now? Okay.
I just want to get to the next thing so bad. Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna tell you about Injured Cold. Because I thought you'd be interested
Yes,
to know
go ahead.
that,
I am interested. Tell me.
Yeah, Injured Cold is actually a separate entity.
So they
from
mixed two
the
things
Mothman.
together?
They did, and I don't know if they did in the book or if it was like a movie choice. That'd be something to look into later. But you're gonna hate this. Can you Google stuff right now? Because you should Google Injured Cold. Because the pictures that come up are so fucking creepy. Because he's commonly known as the Smiling Man.
Okay, hold on. Oh, fuck. No, I'm not doing that. I'm alone up here. It's getting dark. Oh my god. No, it won't get off my computer. Sam. Oh my god.
It's so fucking creepy.
Sam, I'm a little pissed at you right now. Oh my god. It literally, I was backing out of it. It wouldn't get off my fucking browser. Oh, I'm gonna have fucking nightmares tonight. Whew.
Sorry.
Alright, go ahead.
But that is Injured Cold, the Smiling Man, and they kind of like mixed the two, like.
Wow, they should have did a whole fucking movie on him instead. They could have made that guy creepy. Well, creepier.
He's, super fucking creepy. But that's like one of the most interesting things I found out. And then also, when we were looking into like the actual sightings, someone said it sounded like the people were describing a sandhill crane, and I googled that too. It literally just looks like a crane, but people are like, it's a huge bird with like big wings with like kind of like red around its eyes. But yeah, it's literally just a crane. But I guess people are like, it sounds like you're describing this bird. So, well,
it's an interesting mix, crane and a smiling man like that.
And a creepy fucking,
oh my god, that guy.
Yeah, the Silver Bridge was like an actual event that happened in
that's really sad.
In 1967. But, alright. So,
woo!
Are we good on this episode? We
did
it.
I think that was Mothman, guys. We had so much fun. Like, I took all of our restraint not to talk to each other about this before this episode.
Yes.
It was so much fun. This was one I really, really enjoyed. And, like, I gotta be honest with you, I was just so fucking happy not to talk about Richard Kuklinski anymore.
I know.
I was just so happy.
This is such a perfect format, because I don't know how much I could talk about, like, serial killers. It's like, we can break it up with, like, stuff that's...
Yeah, that's why we did this. Yeah, honestly, that's why we did this. Initially, the idea was going to be a true crime podcast throughout all of the weeks, and Sam was like, dude, I don't think I can do it. And then I was like, yeah, no, you're right, for sure. And then we kind of came up with our platform as it is, and I love it this way. So, which brings me to our next point, Sam, and I'm just gonna let you describe it, because I love how you describe the next episode. But we went over this a little bit, obviously, the first episode, but this is what week 4 of every month will be about. And take it away, Sam. I'm gonna hate how I said that later.
I hope I don't disappoint you. But,
no, you're not gonna disappoint me.
So, next episode,
I'm disappointed.
Like the 4th week of the month. How fucking But the next episode and the last, so essentially this is a format going forward. The 4th week of every month, we're each gonna like kind of pick a mystery movie. So I have my own list going of movies that I want to show you, and you also have your list.
Sorry.
And then we're gonna flip a coin.
Sorry, can I just really quick... Sorry, I just want to clarify, just because it sounds like we picked just mystery movies, but they're not. They're horror thriller movies, and they're mysteries to you and I, because we don't know which one we picked, but they're not just, like, all Clue and
It's all
Sherlock Holmes.
It's all detective movies.
Inspector Gadget.
Oh my god. We would literally run out of movies immediately.
That's it. I named all 3 of them just now.
All of the LA noir-esque
Yes,
movies.
yes.
Okay.
So go ahead.
But we each they are gonna be horror. I guess like thriller too.
Thriller horror,
kind
yeah,
of like,
for sure.
Yeah. But so right now we are going to flip a coin and see whose movie we're gonna watch next month. And we each have like a movie picked out, like queued up. But you don't know which movie I picked.
Yes.
And I don't know which movie
Correct.
you picked.
In comes
so
the
we're
mystery.
About to find out.
Yes. Enter the mystery.
Oh, so mysterious.
Mystery has entered the chat.
So did you?
I hate myself.
Did you want to call it like heads tails?
Yes. So I'll take tails. Or you want to do it in the air? Is that what you mean? Actually, we're doing it such a lame way. We have like an app. Both of us forgot to grab a coin, so we're using an app. Is that what?
I think this works.
All right. So I'm good on tails. You want to take heads then? It's your only option.
I'm gonna take threads. Least.
I'm gonna take tequila again.
Okay. So wait, what am I again?
Heads.
I'm heads.
Okay.
Okay, ready?
Wait, you have to hold it up.
Here we go. I'm gonna do it.
Yeah. Okay.
I know. Ready?
All right. Go. I'm
Wait, I think it's 1 or 2. So I'm 1, you're 2.
Oh, what the shit?
Because I'm heads, you're tails. This is the app I have for Dungeons and Dragons.
This is terrible. Next month we'll have a quarter. All right. Fine. I picked 2. Okay, go. 2. Oh, yay! I win!
All right. Wait a minute. I might have rolled it twice.
No. No. Did you?
I think I did. But 2 it is. So what is your movie?
Okay. Also, just to clarify, we've already established if there were like to not run into any like favoritism with the coin flip. If I am picked, if whoever's picked more than 2 times in a row, that 3rd time automatically goes to the next person. So there is a chance of getting 2 times in a row, but then the next one's automatically that next person. All right, let me pull up my thing. Hold on, I'm so excited. I guess it was worth all that time taking to think about the movie because it actually worked out. Okay, so why can't I get to our stupid Google Drive? Okay, my thing here. So my first pick is The Den. And I'm not going to tell you too much about it, but it's essentially this girl that is doing like a college like research project on a site that I Jojo. Sam's cat just jumped on the thing.
She wants to be involved.
Yeah. Yeah, so anyone that wants to watch it, it's The Den. It came out in 2013 and the actually, you know what? I feel like I always do this. I'm just going to read the synopsis off of IMDb or Google or whatever because I don't want to give too much away because I've seen it. Hold on. A young woman studying the habits of webcam users witnesses a murder online and becomes the killer's next target.
Ooh.
Yes. So, that's what that's about. Came out in 2013 and yeah, I'm pretty excited. It's essentially, it's like a chat roulette type of situation. That's the
okay.
web.
You know, I wonder if I saw a trailer for this. It kind of sounds familiar to me. But and what streaming service can me and our viewers watch this on?
So right now it's on Amazon Prime. So while we still have that, we should probably... Oh, actually, we always have Amazon Prime. I don't think this is on Stars or anything.
Yeah, I was going to say...
Yeah, all right. So currently right now it's on Amazon Prime. It's also on Sling TV if you have the premium subscription. It's on YouTube for $3.99, iTunes for $3.99, and Google Play and Apple TV Plus for $3.99 as well. Apparently it's $3.99 across the board. But if you have Amazon Prime, you'd be able to watch it.
So I mean, yeah, even if you have to rent it, it's like what, $4?
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. So that's it. And then we also came up with a thing where, again, I think we've talked about this many times. Sam and I have very, very different tastes in movies. And so in order to kind of, very similar to what I did today, actually, in order to pay homage to the person picking a good movie, so this is my movie pick. So if Sam watches it and she truly gave it a shot and she doesn't like it, I have to take a shot of alcohol at the end of it. If she says, Marissa, listen, I hated this movie, I will be taking a shot of alcohol. But if she just is super submissive and gives in to liking the movie, she will have to take a shot because I was right. I don't know if I explained that well enough.
No, that was very clear.
Okay.
So it's like, if you like my movie, you have to do a shot.
Yes, vice versa.
If you hate my movie, I have to do a shot. I was almost like, you have to do a shot again. It's always
every time I'm taking a shot.
Why are we even describing the rules? Marissa has to take a shot
every time. Every time. As we saw, that went so well this time. But yeah, you have your work cut out with editing for this one. I'm just like, yeah.
I guess like and subscribe.
Yes, please, and comment. We'd love to hear from you guys.
Write in.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you guys on different movie ideas, or if you're watching along with us, let us know what you thought of things, or like answer our questions that we asked each other. We'd love to know if you think the Mothman is a good person, or if it's a person, if it's a good entity. I don't know. We'd love to hear from you guys.
Write more conspiracy theories, because I know that this goes deeper than we
100%. Yeah. So. Yeah, no, in general, we just love to hear from you. And hit subscribe, because then you'll find out. We post a video every Friday. And that's when they will be coming out. But listen, make sure you subscribe, because you'll kind of hear when new stuff's coming out, or if we have different stuff we want to introduce throughout the show.
Yeah, for sure. Alrighty.
But I think that's it. Thanks for listening, guys. That was the Mothman, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did.
Yeah, enjoy the nightmares.
Yeah, enjoy the night. Yeah, especially if you Google Indrid Cold, enjoy the nightmares. All right, guys. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.